Chapter 1355. The martial artists of the upper realm had never seen Jinren Tonggu, but they had definitely heard of Jinren Tonggu because he was a top martial artist above the realm hall. Sun Muching had heard of him before. But now, there was a black-clothed man who claimed to be Jinren Tonggu. His first reaction was shock, and his second reaction was, this guy was probably a swindler. Sun Muching said, "Do you think everyone will believe a random person who claims to be Senior Tonggu?" "They won't." Jun Changshao said, "Because everyone has the right to doubt, so I won't explain. Whether you believe it or not, this old man has already shown you a clear path. Whether you can grasp it or not, it's up to you." With that, he turned and left. Whether it was bluffing or swindling, one could not be too hasty. Crazy. Although Sun Muching said that, his heart was a little shaken. Could it be that this mysterious old man was really Jinren Tonggu? Impossible, impossible, he must be lying to me. If it was an adult, they would definitely not take Gosheng's words to heart, but Sun Muching was only 10 years old after all. He had not experienced too much of the sinister human heart, so when he went home and lay in bed, he would always inadvertently think of it. The next day, he woke up early as usual, washed up, and went to school. On the way, he heard people talking about what had happened at Feng Chi's Celestial Mountain in the past few days, so he leaned over and smiled. "Second uncle, can you tell me about it?" "Hey, kid, why are you suddenly in the mood to listen to gossip?" the man called second uncle joked. Sun Muching said, "Cultivating every day is really boring, so I want to know more about the outside world to broaden my horizons." "Not bad, not bad." Second uncle nodded. "On the path of martial arts, you should strike a balance between work and rest. Come, second uncle will tell you about the big things that have happened recently." "Big things?" Sun Muching pricked up his ears to listen. When he learned that the vortex that appeared in the space earlier was a result of a mortal martial artist forcibly ascending and finally passing through the formation of heavenly thunder of 10,000 tribulations to land on Feng Chi's Celestial Mountain, his little heart was instantly shaken. He didn't know how powerful the thunder array was, but since it was set up by the Realm Hall, it must be very powerful. It was absolutely inconceivable that someone could force their way up. "Second uncle," Sun Muching asked, "who is it that's so powerful?" "I don't know who it is." Second uncle paused for a moment, and then said, "But I know that it wasn't a person who ascended to the higher realm, but a mountain." "A mountain?" Sun Muching widened his eyes. It was a rule that had existed for a long time for mortal creatures to ascend to the upper realm. But since when could something like Lien Shan, who didn't have any consciousness, also ascend? To be exact. Second uncle continued, "It wasn't a mountain that ascended, it was a sect." "Sect?" Sun Muching was dumbfounded again. Second uncle said, "I heard that this sect is called the Sect of All Times. After coming out of the vortex, they settled down on Feng Chi's Celestial Mountain. Not long ago, they even bullied the Sword Mystic Sect, Sharp Blade Mystic Sect, and other forces." Sect of All Times? Sun Muching suddenly remembered the guidance that the mysterious person had given him last night, so he thought to himself, so there really is such a sect. Second uncle said in admiration, "To be able to break through the formation of heavenly thunder of 10,000 tribulations and defeat a few mystic sects, this sect of all times that came from the mortal realm is not simple." Sun Muching fell silent. Second uncle's strength might not be strong, but he had been traveling the higher realm for many years and had seen a lot. To be able to give such an evaluation of the sect of all times, perhaps he really was capable. Jun Changshao didn't know that the child that he couldn't even convince was gradually memorizing the name of the sect of all times from the words of passers-by. "Second uncle, I'm going to cultivate." After arriving at the school, Sun Muching shook his head and threw the things that he had heard to the back of his mind. He said firmly, "I'll be leaving for Lin Yuan City to participate in the Wu-Tang assessment the day after tomorrow. I should focus more on cultivation." In the wilderness, Jun Changshao continued on his journey with his two disciples. Yi Xingchen, who had regained his spirits, was in much better spirits than yesterday, and his desire to become stronger was also stronger. Ah no, remember. Jun Changshao said, in this world, anyone can defeat you, but you can't be defeated by yourself. No matter what kind of setbacks you face in the future, you must stand up like a man. Yi Xingqian was speechless. Patriarch, are you saying that as if I wasn't a man in the past? Of course. Jun Changshao said again, after going to Lin Yuan City, you must keep a low profile, don't blindly stir up trouble. Actually, even if he didn't say it, Nyo would keep a low profile, because the children in the town were already so strong, so the children in the city must be as strong as the sky. A few days later, the three of them entered the boundary of Lin Yuan City. Walking on the spacious official road, they met children in their teens one after another, who were hurrying on their way under the guidance of martial masters. Jun Changshao had already inquired in Stillwater Town that the Wu-Tang examination would be held in the city soon, and the schools in the surrounding villages and towns would bring students to participate. If they passed in the end, their lives would be changed. They would fight all the way to the end, and then be reviewed and approved by the review team to become a member of Wu-Tang. After understanding the rules, Jun Changshao was speechless. What's the difference between this and a martial arts competition in the mortal world? The examination officially begins. Under the orders of the Wu-Tang's senior management, the intense and exciting examination began. Sun Mucheng was very outstanding in the aptitude and physique assessment, and then the actual combat assessment followed. He defeated all his opponents and successfully entered the finals. Patriarch Xiao Ziji said, the kid who defeated Brother Yi will take first place in Group A without any suspense. Yi Xingqian was about to cry. Can you not bring me into this when you talk about him? This is a huge blow to my self-esteem that I just built up. Ah no. Jun Changshao said, it's not shameful for you to lose to him. Yi Xingqian held his head and cried in his heart, can this matter be overturned? However, when the finals of Group A began, Sun Mucheng, who originally had the absolute advantage, was repeatedly stopped by the referee. After fighting for an hour, he was actually defeated. What a pity. It can't be helped. His opponent is too strong. There should be hope for next year. The spectating martial artists all shook their heads and sighed. Jun Changshao's expression became interesting, and then he roared in his heart, is this because his opponent is too strong? There's clearly something shady going on. Chapter 1356. The Group A finals ended. Although Sun Mucheng suppressed his opponent throughout the entire match, he was still judged to have lost the match by the referee. This Xiao Ziji was dumbfounded. From the battle just now, Sun Mucheng suppressed his opponent in terms of technique and strength. If he hadn't been stopped multiple times, the outcome would have been decided long ago. Patriarch Xiao Ziji broke down and transmitted his voice, this fight is too fake. Jun Changshao said, there's something wrong with this referee. Referees could be bribed to make unfair judgments. However, what Gouxing couldn't understand was that anyone with discerning eyes could see that there was a conspiracy, but why did the audience turn a blind eye to it? Were they all blind? I knew that the young city lord was strong, he really won the Group A championship. The young city lord has amazing talent and physique at such a young age, it would be easy for him to enter the Wu-Tang competition. Young city lord? The son of Lin Yuan City's city lord? Jun Changshao finally understood that no matter who came up in the Group A finals, the script had already been written. Cruel reality. The martial artists in the venue cheered loudly for the Group A winners, but no one noticed the dejected Sun Mucheng walking down the stage, like an orphan abandoned by the whole world. I could have won, but why did I lose? He kept repeating this sentence, his mood extremely low. The reason is simple. Suddenly, an old voice sounded in his ear, you don't have a backer. Jun Changshao definitely couldn't miss such a good opportunity, so he immediately started bluffing. Sun Mucheng instantly realized that the voice came from the black-clothed man who called himself Senior Tonggu, so he hurriedly looked up, but couldn't find him in the venue. This world is full of unfairness, what you've encountered is just the tip of the iceberg. Jun Changshao continued to transmit his voice, so, if you want to achieve more, you have to go to a fair place and receive fair treatment. Sun Muching was silent. I object, I object. At this moment, a discordant voice suddenly rang out amidst the praises, causing the entire venue to instantly quiet down. Sun Muching looked in the direction of the voice and saw a black-robed man standing up from the edge of the spectator stand. Sitting beside him was the cultivator he had defeated in the town. Everyone. Jun Changshao placed his hand on his chest and asked, "Doesn't your heart hurt?" Everyone was dumbfounded. Shua! Jun Changshao pointed at Sun Muching, who seemed to have been abandoned, and said with righteous indignation, he was clearly in the lead in the battle just now, but in the end, the champion was given to his opponent. This is simply the greatest irony to martial arts. You! Not only did he turn a blind eye to it, he even applauded the winner. This kind of behavior is really distressing. Everyone fell silent. The person in charge of Wu-Tang, who was handing out the winners' medals, said in a deep voice, "Kid, are you openly questioning my Wu-Tang assessment?" Bah! Jun Changshao said, "Please, don't insult the word martial anymore." Patriarch Yi Xingqian pulled his sleeve and said telepathically, "We agreed to keep a low profile. You must control yourself." "Control my ass." Jun Changshao roared, "All the young people who came to participate in the assessment have worked hard for 7 or 8 years, but in the end, they were all rejected because of one word. What kind of fucking fairness is this?" Sun Muching, who was still very strong, suddenly burst into tears. He was not crying because he was judged to have lost, but because someone stood up for him when he was abandoned. Jun Changshao looked over and said with a serious expression, "Even if you lost this match in everyone's eyes, you won in my eyes. You won fair and square, and you won with a clear conscience." "Kid!" The person in charge of Wu-Tang pulled a long face and said, "I think you're here to make trouble, right?" "Of course." With Go Shing's bad temper, if he did not cause trouble for 3 days, he would definitely go overboard. Moreover, if he did not seek some excitement, how could he live up to his identity as a disciple of a Taishan elder? Such a high-standard martial arts event, but you did such a despicable and dirty thing. Jun Changshao raised his ticket and said angrily, "My money died in vain. Throw him out." The person in charge of Wu-Tang shouted. Whoosh! Whoosh! The martial artists in charge of the venue's security rushed over. "No need." Jun Changshao said, "I'll leave on my own." After that, he left with Xiao Ziji and Yi Xingqian. "Kid!" When they reached the entrance, Jun Changshao turned his head and looked at Sun Muching, saying, "This Wu-Tang is not worth your time. If you want to become stronger, you can come to the Sect of All Times and find me." After being filled with righteous indignation for a long time, he finally revealed his fox tail. Sect of All Times. The martial artists in the venue immediately started discussing. News about this sect had been spreading like wildfire in the city recently. The security guards who were about to take action and quickly drive Go Shing out suddenly hesitated, because they heard that even profound sects like the Imperial Sword Profound Sect and the Sharp Blade Profound Sect had suffered. Wu-Tang was quite famous in Lin Yuan City, but in the end, it was just a non-powerful organization, and there was still a big gap between it and a profound sect. "Who are you?" Sun Muching shouted. Jun Changshao stopped, and under the contrast of various special effects, his imposing back appeared, saying, "The Patriarch of the Sect of All Times. I will go." Sun Muching wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, saying, "I will go to the Sect of All Times." Outside Lin Yuan City. Jun Changshao walked quickly with his 2 disciples, feeling as if they had caused big trouble and would be unlucky if they didn't slip away immediately. "Don't be a coward," the system said, "bring out the aura from just now. Get lost." Jun Changshao cursed in his heart, then returned to the sect as fast as he could. Lin Yuan Academy still had to continue with the B and C group competitions, so he didn't have the time to take care of this guy who interrupted him midway, so he was able to let him safely return to the Aeon Immortal Mountain. It's too dark. Thinking back to the competition he had witnessed earlier, Jun Changshao sat in the main hall and said seriously, "Since my sect of all times has come to the upper realm, we will never let a genius be covered in dust." Patriarch. The next day, Li Qingyang walked in and said, "There is a young man called Sun Muching at the foot of the mountain who wants to see you." "So fast?" Jun Changshao was a little surprised, but he said seriously, "Let him in." Sect of all times, in the main hall. Sun Muching was brought in by Li Qingyang. When he saw Jun Changshao sitting at the head of the table, he was able to confirm, "Are you really the patriarch of the sect of all times?" At the venue, he was quite doubtful, but after thinking about it, he still decided to go to Fengqi Immortal Mountain. After all, when he heard second uncle talk about this sect, he already had a strong interest in it. The main reason was that he couldn't enter Wu-Tang because of shady dealings. He didn't have the face to go back to his hometown, so he could only come here. Simply put, let's just go with the flow. Why would I lie to you? Jun Changshao said. Swish. Sun Muching cupped his hands and said, "Patriarch, please accept me as your disciple." "I don't accept disciples, I only accept disciples." "Disciples are fine too." "Qingyang, give me the entry form." After the most traditional entrance inquiry, Jun Changshao immediately stamped the sect seal and said, "From now on, you are a disciple of the sect of all times." "I'm a disciple already." Sun Muching was a little confused. As far as he knew, joining a sect and entering Wu-Tang had to go through the assessment process, and it was even stricter than that. However, he was accepted just by saying his name and address. It seemed a little too childish. Sun Muching didn't know that he didn't go through the assessment process because he had defeated the core disciple Yi Xingqian in Stillwater Town. The sect of all times welcomed its first disciple after ascending to the upper realm. According to the sect's culture, he must be given special treatment, so Su Xiaoma and Li Fei had been waiting in the training field with happy footballs. After a while, Sun Muching walked out of the main hall. "He's coming, he's coming." Li Tian, who was in charge of sentry duty, immediately transmitted his voice. Boom! Boom! In the blink of an eye, 2 happy footballs flew toward him in an arc, carrying a very strong force. Sun Muching frowned and dashed forward. His whole body soared into the air and he kicked the ball back with both of his legs. Bang! Bang! Sounds were heard as he kicked the ball back. Fuck! Boom! Boom! Su Xiaoma and Yi Xingqian didn't dodge in time. One was kicked in the face, the other in the stomach, and then sank into the wall in the distance. So, he's an expert. Chapter 1357. The culture of the sect of all times was that all new disciples had to be entertained by happy footballs so that they could experience the feeling of home first. However, the situation changed after Sun Muching appeared. Su Xiaoma and Li Fei, who had been carrying out the culture of the sect for a long time, not only did they not succeed, they were even killed by him. How could that be? Therefore, the two of them contacted more of their fellow disciples and organized a football match in the training field with Sun Muching as the goalkeeper. Ta! Ta! Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, Li Tianshang, Sima Zhongda, and the others appeared in front of the penalty area one after another. They were all stepping on happy footballs. This was not regular football. This was a special training for the goalkeepers. The young and ignorant Sun Muching did not realize that he was being targeted by the veteran disciples. He even bent down in front of the goal and asked foolishly, "Senior brother, is this how it should be?" "That's right." Su Xiaoma said, "You just need to guard the goal and not let the ball in." "Understood." "Come on." Sun Muching was interested. Everyone looked at each other and quickly reached a tacit understanding in their hearts. They poured spiritual energy into their feet and kicked the happy footballs fiercely. Bang! 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 Several streams of light shot out. Judging from their trajectories, they were indeed aiming to break the goal, but they were all locked onto Sun Muching's face. How ruthless. This little guy is probably going to be unlucky. I hope he's fine. The disciples outside the training field looked at him sympathetically. This was especially so for Shang Yuhen. Every time he thought about how he was taken care of by his senior brothers when he first came to the sect of all times, he could not stop his tears from flowing down. However, although Sun Muching stood in front of the goal, his body was constantly twisting. His hands interweaved with the shadows of his palms and blocked all the footballs that shot at him. Damn! The disciples who were watching the show widened their eyes. There were so many balls, but the new junior brother not only blocked them all, his feet did not move at all. Amazing! Too amazing! Go! Whoosh! Whoosh! Shwa! Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and the others sprinted forward. Everyone kicked the ball of happiness that had rolled over again from different positions, and the force it carried was stronger than the last time. Bang! 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 Sun Muching stood in front of the goal. His body and arms moved frequently, as if he had turned into 1,000 armed guanyin. He blocked the balls that were shot at him from all directions. He was simply a super goal god. In front of the main hall, Ding Xingwang said in surprise, "Patriarch, this child is very strong. Otherwise, why would I value him so highly?" Jun Changshao said proudly. Martial artists from the upper realm generally had high aptitudes and physiques, and this Sun Mucheng was one of the best among them. After joining the sect of all times and undergoing training, he would definitely be able to shine in the future. If the new disciples recruited in the future were all at this level, when all of them rose up, the scene would definitely be magnificent. The system poured cold water on him. "You're thinking too much." An hour later, Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and the others were all paralyzed on the ground. In the beginning, they rushed to kick people, but when they realized that they could not do anything, they focused on breaking the goal. In the end, no one kicked in, which was undoubtedly a huge blow to them. Senior brothers. Sun Muching stood in front of the goal and smiled brightly. "Tomorrow, I'll kick. Can you guys defend?" The next day, Su Xiaoma and Li Fei lay in a mess near the goal. Some were clutching their stomachs and struggling, while others were covering their faces and howling. They looked very miserable. As for the ball of happiness, more than 10 of them had been kicked in. The veteran disciples, who had always liked to welcome newcomers with the sect's culture, had completely fallen into Sun Muching's hands. They were not willing to accept this, not convinced. What should they do? The only thing he could do was to focus all his attention on cultivation. Sun Muching's appearance made the disciples feel pressured, and it also deeply stimulated their desire to become stronger. Not bad, not bad. A smile appeared on Jun Changshao's face as he sensed the dense cultivation aura coming from the sect. Although recruiting Sun Muching was the intention of a strong sect, it was more to provide motivation for the disciples to understand the gap between them and the geniuses of the upper realm, so that they could focus more on cultivation. Of course. In the long journey of cultivation, as the patriarch, Jun Changshao still had to escort the disciples and provide them with shortcuts at any time, such as the transformation pill. Due to the limitations of materials and funds, he could only refine more than 1,000 of this pill. It could not be made universal, so after the refinement, he could only choose the higher-ups and core disciples to use. Creak. Yixingchen closed the door again and looked down at the pill in his hand. He said excitedly, "What miraculous effects does this pill have?" He raised his head and swallowed the entire transformation pill. When he realized that his body, soul, meridians, and other aspects had been improved, he exclaimed, "This is even more powerful than the body transformation pill and the soul transformation pill." Li Qingyang, Xiao Zuiji, and the others also took the elixirs one after another. They were all shocked and overjoyed after their powers were completely sublimated. They had gone through all kinds of tempering in the lower realm. In terms of aptitude and physique, they were not inferior to Sun Muching. The reason why it was difficult to compare was because of the huge difference in their living environment. Now that the patriarch gave them a brand new pill, They were improved in all aspects and surpassed the teenager. It was still a little difficult because the other party had taken it too. Patriarch. After feeling the changes in his body, Sun Muching stared with his big innocent eyes and said, "This pill is amazing." Muching. Jun Changshao threw the copies of the Illuminating Heart Sutra and the Heaven Crossing Palm and said, "These are the low-level martial arts of our sect. Take them and cultivate for now." The black and white Rakshasas would definitely collapse if they heard this. If these were low-level martial arts, it would be difficult to find people in the upper realm who could cultivate high-level martial arts. "Thank you, Patriarch." Sun Muching took the 2 martial arts books back to his residence and began to cultivate. After studying them for a night, he said excitedly, "Senior Tonggu really showed me a bright path." He came to the sect of all times because he failed in the assessment and came to the sect with a disheartened attitude. He didn't expect that this sect would have magical pills and high-level martial arts that were easy to understand and mysterious. He also had to thank Lin Yuan and Wu Tang. If he didn't play with the unspoken rules, it would have been difficult for the little guy to enter the sect of all times. Then he would have wasted his talent and time crazily in the future. Outside the sect of all times. The flat area that was originally covered with weeds had completely turned into a medicinal field after a few days of hard work by Paige. Although the little guy had sweated a lot, he had also become much stronger after eating and vomiting. Even when he was lying on the ground and snoring, the heaven and earth attributes could be clearly seen gathering in every strand of his hair. With the bloodline of the earth-devouring sacred beast, if he wanted to become stronger, he would have to eat all the way, and the soil in the upper realm was obviously more nutritious than the soil in the lower realm. As the saying goes, the heavens reward the diligent. Paige's current strength was definitely ranked among the top among Jun Changxiao's contract beasts, but because of its special attributes and functions, it was destined to spend more time in construction. Elder Wei. Jun Changxiao, who was standing on the top of the mountain, looked at Sun Bukong and the others who were planting medicinal seeds in an orderly manner, and asked, "The soil in the upper realm contains stronger heaven and earth attributes, so the growth cycle of medicinal herbs should be faster, right?" Elder Wei shook his head and said, "I have already studied it. Although the soil here is strong, the seeds given by the Patriarch are not comparable to those in the lower realm. I am afraid it will take a long time to mature from planting." Jun Changxiao was speechless. The majestic heaven and earth attributes can certainly help disciples improve faster. If there are various medicinal pills to assist, it will certainly save a lot of time. But if the supply of medicinal herbs is not enough, then it will be a bit of a mess. The system took advantage of the opportunity and said, "If there is a problem, find them all." Jun Changxiao raised his head and said solemnly, "I really want to rely on myself, I really don't want to use cheats." Chapter 1358. If the sect wanted to become stronger, it still needed to rely on the shop. Therefore, after Jun Changxiao returned to his study after inspecting the herb field, he pulled it out again. After careful consideration, he decided to refresh the original items. Due to the limit of contribution points, he could not buy all the good pill recipes. He could only use them on items that could really bring benefits to the sect. How could he drive it? He definitely needed more medicinal herbs to drive it. In Jun Changxiao's follow-up development plan for the sect, pills were the first priority. This was because only by taking shortcuts could he overtake them, making up for the huge gap between the disciples and the upper realm martial artists due to the environment. Pill recipes could be bought through the shop, but due to the lack of funds, it was impossible to buy a large amount of medicinal herbs immediately, so he could only plant them himself. To put it simply, Jun Changxiao hoped that the medicinal herbs would wait for the pill recipes, but he did not want the pill recipes to wait for the medicinal herbs. Schwa! All new items appeared in the shop. The system did not lie to him, it did not deduct his contribution points after the refresh. I can keep refreshing until I get the items I want. Without the setting of using contribution points to refresh, Jun Changxiao's heart suddenly became wild. At this moment, Gosheng found a weapon called the sky-piercing blade in the shop. The word reputation was written in front of it, but he could not click on the details because the image was dark gray. There was a note below unlocked with 500 reputation points. That's right. The system said, this is a new function unlocked in the upper realm. Only when the sect's reputation reaches a certain value can you buy it. It can also be called a reputation item. Jun Changshao was speechless. In other words, in the upper realm's new version of the shop, not only can I buy everything with contribution points, but there's also a damn reputation point restriction. Host, you're really a clever little devil. Jun Changshao continued to look and found that there were many items with reputation prefixes. There were high and low unlocked values, so he broke down. I can't do whatever I want with money. There were many good things in the shop after the second refresh, but he did not find anything that he urgently needed, so Go Sheng continued to refresh. After all, it did not cost him money. Schwa! Schwa! In a short period of time, Jun Changshao refreshed 5 times in a row. Just as he was about to be dazzled by the variety of items, an item called the Purple Firmament Constellation Array caught his eye. Click on the introduction item, Purple Firmament Constellation Array Introduction, a profound array created by the Chiman formation god by observing the stars. Effect can be used as a defensive formation to be set up in clans, sects, cities, etc. Advantage: after creating and modifying it many times, the evaluation given by the God of Strange Gates formation was once the formation is set up in one place, it will ensure eternal peace. Disadvantage: expensive. Price: 500,000 contribution points. Level: unknown. After seeing the flaws and the price, Jun Chang broke down and said, this isn't just expensive, it's ridiculously expensive. The system said, isn't the host lacking a sect protection formation? From the introduction, the Purple Firmament Constellation Array is undoubtedly very suitable. I recommend buying it for 5 stars. Jun Changshao felt a little dizzy. Right now, he only had 690,000 contribution points. If he were to buy it, he would immediately turn from a tall, rich, and handsome man to a poor, short, and poor man. Wait a minute. The God of Strange Gates formation. Jun Changshao thought of the formation-breaking chapter of Strange Gates Duanjia. Because it was also created by the God of Strange Gates formation, he had even benefited from it and succeeded in breaking out of prison and blowing up the Starry Sky Fortress. The host and this expert are fated, the system said. Jun Changshao looked at the introduction of the advantages and said, once the formation is set up in one place, it will ensure eternal peace. The evaluation of the formation you created is a bit like selling melons to an old woman. Ding! The host has spent 500,000 contribution points and obtained the Purple Firmament Constellation Array X1. It has been transferred into the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 190000. When he heard the notification that he had spent 500,000 contribution points, Jun Changshao sighed. When I first bought an item in the mortal world, it was only 1 contribution point. Now, it has increased so much. The host was still a rookie at that time. Now, he has already entered the core transformation realm. Can they be compared? The system said. That's true. The number of contribution points he spent kept increasing. Jun Changshao's realm and the strength of the sect were also increasing. After all, everyone was growing. After buying the Purple Firmament Constellation Array, Go Sheng did not immediately study it. Instead, he continued to browse the subsequent items. When he found that there was nothing useful, he pulled down the store again. Ding! The host has reached the limit of 5 free refresh times per month. Would you like to activate the monthly or annual VIP to unlock more refresh times? After hearing the notification, Jun Changshao was stunned for a moment. Then, he roared, why is there a limit? The system entered the play dead mode. At this moment, a new pop-up window appeared in the store. The content was activating the monthly VIP account. The cost is 50,000 contribution points. The refresh limit is increased to 10 times per month. Activating the annual VIP account. The cost is 500,000 contribution points. The refresh limit is increased to 30 times per month. The host will also obtain the new Nouveau Riche interface X1 and the sweet notification sound of a young lady X1. Jun Changshao could not control his emotions and roared, "This is not the upper realm version of the system. This is the Krypton Gold version of the system." The system said, the host is recommended to activate the annual VIP account. After all, it can save 100,000 contribution points and refresh 30 times per month. Get out of here. Jun Changshao angrily retracted the system interface. Not to mention that he did not have the money to buy the VIP account. Even if he did, he would not buy it. This was because he wanted to be a civilian player. If he wanted to be a player, he wanted to be a Sealhead Ling Chong. Ding! Recharge successful. Congratulations to the host for becoming a monthly VIP account. The refresh limit is increased from 5 to 10 times per month. Ding! Sect contribution points, 140000. Jun Changshao slowly opened his eyes. He felt that his body was full of fighting power, so he said proudly, "Krypton Gold made me stronger." The system was speechless. As expected of the patriarch of the Eternal True Fragrance Sect. The store could indeed refresh for free, but it was limited to 5 refresh times per month. If one wanted to continue to refresh, they would either have to recharge the VIP account or wait for the cooldown to cool down next month. Jun Changshao really wanted to be the Liver Emperor, but he had just arrived in the upper realm. Firstly, he had no money, and secondly, he did not have the strength. Although he could attract rich women with his handsome face, he had to at least meet them first. Recharging 50,000 contribution points per month would allow him to refresh 5 times, which was equivalent to the price of a high-level store in the lower realm. Therefore, Goshing still chose to recharge to become a VIP. Not to mention, it was really good. On the 6th refresh of the store, an item called Nourishing Soil appeared in the first grid. Its effect was to improve the soil and greatly increase the growth cycle of heaven and earth treasures. Jun Changshao looked at you through the camera and said emotionally, "This is the power of Krypton Gold." Ding! The host has spent 100,000 contribution points and obtained Nourishing Soil X1. It has been transferred to the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 40,000. The so-called Nourishing Soil was an item similar to a black stone. According to the introduction, as long as it was buried underground, it would slowly increase the overall quality of the surrounding soil. Jun Changshao went to the center of the herb field and dug a hole to bury it. Only then did he return to the study to study the purple firmament constellation formation. The next day. Chapter 1359. Today's herb field was no longer the same as yesterday's, because every grain of sand seemed to contain rich heaven and earth attributes. Even the sky above was covered in a thin layer of mist. The Aeon Immortal Mountain was originally poetic and picturesque. Now that such a scene had appeared in the low-lying area, it was really Spirit Mountain is more beautiful, and the sky and water are both dense. Jun Changshao was dumbfounded. Of course, it was not because of the scenery in front of him. It was because in just one night the entire herb field soil had been transformed, and even extended to undeveloped areas. That was too fast. The system said, the goods in the upper realm store are not comparable to those in the mortal world, so the host only needs to prepare enough contribution points to experience more surprises in the future. Patriarch. Squatting in the herb field and carefully observing the transformed soil, Elder Wei said excitedly, "This is simply a celestial field. How long will it take for the seeds to mature?" Jun Changshao was more concerned about efficiency. After all, it was related to whether the sect could develop rapidly in the future. Elder Wei shook his head and said, "I can't analyze it for now." As a professional herbalist, not only did he have to understand herbs, but he also had to understand the soil. This place that had suddenly been strengthened had exceeded his scope of understanding. The next day, there were new changes in the herb field. The seeds that were sown sprouted collectively and were even shrouded in flowing light. It was obvious that they were not ordinary. So fast? Elder Wei was a little confused. For the next few days, he squatted in the herb field and watched the growth of the herbs with his own eyes. In the end, he gave a rough estimate that the first batch of herbs would mature between half a month to a month. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "It's a little slow." Elder Wei was speechless. The higher the quality of the seeds, the longer the maturity period. Now that it had been upgraded to the same growth rate as ordinary seeds, the patriarch actually thought it was slow. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. Under the nourishment of the soil, the herbs grew healthily. Every branch and leaf seemed to be wrapped in heaven and earth attributes. Looking down from above, the scene presented was quite shocking. The disciples of the medical hall were like hard-working gardeners, busily pruning and managing the medicinal fields. One day, the black Rakshasa, who was rarely free from cultivation, happened to pass by. Seeing the herb farm that seemed to be completely enveloped by the attributes of the world, he exclaimed, "Little brother, where did you get so many Shen-class heavenly resources?" "Brother," Jun Changshao said, "these are ordinary herbs." "Ordinary herbs?" A hint of doubt appeared on the black Rakshasa's face. After taking a closer look, his eyes widened. He did not know much about pills, nor did he know much about medicinal herbs. However, he had traveled around the upper realm for many years, so naturally, he had seen a lot of them. The plants in front of him could clearly be bought at any grocery store, but why did they give off a strong feeling? The classification of medicinal herbs was similar to that of the sects in the upper realm. Once they reached the level of Xian, they could be called heavenly treasures. The seeds that Jun Changshao bought from Stillwater Town were ordinary goods. They might be high and mighty in the mortal world, but they were common in the upper world. However, after being nourished in the modified soil, they had completely mutated. The energy contained within had already reached Xian class and could already be called heavenly resources. Xian class was not too outstanding. After all, there were 3 classes above it: truth, path, and immortal. However, the fact that all the plants in such a huge medicinal field were of this class was extremely shocking. "Little brother," the black Rakshasa said seriously, "even a Shen-class sect may not have a medicinal field like this." Jun Changshao did not expect that the modified medicinal field could cultivate ordinary seeds to Shen class. Thus, he began to think. Can I sell them for money? In the upper realm, there were always only 2 things that were in great demand: mystical stones and pills. Mystical stones could be obtained from mineral veins, but pills had to be refined. This refining process could not lack medicinal herbs. Even the most effective medicinal herbs could allow the pills to be fully refined. As a newcomer to the sect of all times, it was unrealistic to rely on robbing to make a fortune. Thus, they needed to find another way. For example, selling medicinal herbs that were obviously low class but had reached Shen class. Elder Wei said, "As far as I know, high-class pills require heavenly resources because ordinary medicinal herbs cannot reach the refining standard. The medicinal herbs planted in our medicinal field have far exceeded the standard. They can completely replace extremely rare heavenly resources. There's no need to worry about a lack of market." "I agree with selling medicinal herbs," Yuan Gongzi said. As the patriarch of Fu, he had been thinking about the future development of the sect. Due to overwork, a strand of his hair had turned white. "Elder Wei." After Jun Changshao had an idea, he said, "The exterior of the medicinal field also needs to be modified. Expand the scale and increase the production of medicinal herbs as soon as possible." "Yes." Elder Wei hurriedly took action. In this aspect, Paige had once again shown her value. However, before the order was given, she had already started eating outside the medicinal field. This was because the modified soil was undoubtedly a great tonic. Jun Changshao had a way to develop the sect. That was to sell the matured high-class medicinal herbs and then invest the money. From there, many little drops would make an ocean. However, now that he had a way, he still needed customers. Could it be that he would push a cart and stop at the market and shout loudly like he was going to the market? Master AI. Jun Changshao said, I miss you. In the early stages of entrepreneurship in the lower realm, Ai Shangyao's appearance was undoubtedly a great help. Thus, it would be great if he could meet a family or organization that dealt in pills and medicinal herbs in the upper realm. The idea was good, but the reality was cruel. Back then, Jun Changshao had the identity of a villager from Qingyang village. What about now? Other than illegal immigration, he had no relatives in the upper realm. Especially when there were no towns nearby, there was basically no hope for him to meet a family. Forget it, forget it. For the future development of the sect, what's wrong with hawking on the streets? For a person who cared about his reputation to do such a thing, it was obvious that he was really dedicated to the sect of all times. The construction of the herb field was in full swing. The sect's disciples were also beginning to understand the magnificent reflection scripture. The biggest advantage of this mental cultivation method was that it was completely suitable for the new environment of the upper realm. Not only could it refine the purer heaven and earth attributes, but it could also condense the profound meaning of heaven and earth. To put it simply, in the lower realm, martial arts had to be comprehended by oneself. In the upper realm, the profound meaning contained in the attributes was just a matter of finding a way to absorb it. Huff huff. On the peak where the disciples lived, the aura of advancement came from Yi Xingqian's room. No way. Su Xiaoma said in surprise, junior brother Yi broke through again. I remember that before he ascended to the upper realm, he had just entered rank 6 Wusheng. Li Fei also widened his eyes. Just as everyone was surprised and envious, the aura of advancement reached its peak and began to converge after a while. Creak. Yi Xingqian pushed open the door and walked out. His whole body exuded a stronger aura than before. In such a short time, he had entered rank 7 from rank 6. There was no joy in his heart because it was nothing in the new world. Aonyo was one of the first core disciples to comprehend the magnificent reflection scripture. In the next few days, Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others gradually comprehended it and their realms increased by a level. In the lower realm, they had already refined all aspects to the extreme. In fact, they were not inferior to the upper realm martial artists. Therefore, when they were in the same environment and had a more advanced mental cultivation method, their strength naturally increased faster. The ones who showed the most were the inner and outer disciples. After they comprehended the magnificent reflection scripture, they improved by a small level every now and then. When the first batch of seeds had completely matured, according to the Ning brothers' statistics, the lowest cultivation level in the entire sect was rank 5 Wu Huang. Of course. In the past month, most of the disciples had been comprehending the mental cultivation method and did not have much time to cultivate. Therefore, now that they had succeeded in comprehending it, they were destined to enter the stage of a big breakthrough for the entire sect. Chapter 1360. Whoosh whoosh. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Within the sect of all times, the momentum of advancement was higher and higher. The frequency of the inner and outer sect disciples breaking through small realms and large realms also became faster and faster as they comprehended the magnificent Illumination Sutra. In a brand new environment, a brand new system, and with the help of a high-level heart technique, this kind of large-scale breakthrough was normal. It would not be surprising if they reached Wusheng or even Martial Grand Emperor in the future. Of course, because the general realm was low, it could be quickly improved with the help of the magnificent Illumination Sutra. However, after reaching a certain realm, the speed would naturally decrease. At this time, they had to use magnetite, pills, and other things to assist. In order to solve this problem, Jun Changshao brought the mature herbs to Lin Yuan City and began the shameless peddling on the streets trip of a sect master. This time, he did not bring Yi Xingqian and Xiao Ziji because the two were immersed in cultivation like the other disciples. I say, on the road to Lin Yuan City, Jun Changshao broke down. Why don't you cultivate in the sect? Why do you have to come to sell herbs? The disciples did not follow, but rows of flowers did. She smiled and said, "The husband sings and the wife follows." Jun Changshao was speechless. "Actually." Rose of Flowers flipped her hair and said, "I'm now stuck at the peak of the Return to Origin realm. It's not enough to enter the Return to Origin realm by cultivation alone. I still need time to accumulate, so I'm going out with you to see the world." The Return to Origin realm in the Soul Clan's mainland is actually the void-piercing realm in the upper realm. Jun Changshao corrected. "It doesn't matter." Rose of Flowers smiled. "It's good that I can accompany you." Jun Changshao said, "When you go to the city to sell herbs, you must keep a low profile. Don't cause trouble." The system wanted to vomit at his face. When it first went to Lin Yuan City, it also said the same thing to Yixingchen. What happened in the end? It questioned Wu Tang's assessment in front of everyone and almost caused trouble. "Okay, I'll listen to my husband." Rose of Flowers smiled sweetly and was about to approach, but Gosheng quickly walked away, keeping an absolute distance from her. "The more you try to avoid me, the more I chase after you." Therefore, in the beautiful scenery of the mountains, there was a scene of one person walking quickly while the other was chasing after the other. It also revealed a different mood from the previous scene. Jun Changshao had been to Lin Yuan City before, so he was used to the prosperity here, but Rose of Flowers was here for the first time. Her eyes were not enough to take in the wide streets and rows of buildings, and her heart was in turmoil. The martial artists in the city were also looking at her. After all, wherever a beautiful woman went, she would be a beautiful sight. The Sect of All Time's uniform was still in the style of the lower realm. Although it was not very revealing, the workmanship was novel, and the color combination was very visually striking. Therefore, when Rose of Flowers wore it, it added a bit of beauty to her. "Tisk," Jun Changshao said disdainfully, "have the martial artists in the upper realm never seen a woman before?" The system said, "Every man has 7 emotions and 6 desires, and they all have the correct aesthetic standards, unlike the host who is like the minister of imperial household." Fuck. Jun Changshao cursed in his heart, then took off the black robe and put it on Rose of Flowers. He said insincerely, "Don't be too ostentatious when you're outside." The system was speechless. "You obviously don't want outsiders to stare at your wife, but you still have to pretend to be cold and indifferent. You're indeed the best actor in the Sect of All Times." Rose of Flowers stopped and looked at him, smiling. "On our wedding night, did you also cover me with a blanket like this?" Jun Changshao turned his head and said lightly, "No such thing." "Yes." The system said, "I'm an eyewitness." Because of the mission, Gosheng could only choose to be forced to marry, and until now, he was still criticized by the readers as a scumbag. At that time, he drank too much on his wedding night and nothing happened. However, when he woke up the next day and saw Rose of Flowers sleeping on the table, he still covered her with a blanket before leaving. "It's okay that you forgot." Rose of Flowers said, "I've always remembered it." Jun Changshao was speechless. "Don't tell me you've been pestering me because of this? Other than those flattering officials, you're the only one who really cares about me." Rose of Flowers said. "Big sister." Jun Changshao was on the verge of collapsing. "Your feelings have come too carelessly. If it were someone else who blocked the spear and the knife for you, you'd love them to death." Rose of Flowers stopped and said with her almond-shaped eyes, "Jun Changshao, do you think that I, Rose of Flowers, am a fickle woman? That I'll fall in love with whoever is good to me?" Jun Changshao wanted to explain that he just said it casually and did not mean to humiliate her. However, seeing that this woman was angry, he felt that the more he explained, the more likely she would misunderstand, so he hurriedly changed the topic. "We've arrived at the market, business is more important." Rose of Flowers blocked the way and stared at him. "This is business too." Because the sound was relatively loud, it immediately attracted the warriors and residents passing by on the street. They all turned their heads and guessed in their hearts, could it be that the young couple quarreled? Finding that everyone was talking about him, Jun Changshao's expression changed slightly. He whispered, there are so many people watching, we'll talk about it when we get back to the sect. Rose of Flowers was not the kind of woman who would do irrational things on the street when she was angry. She took a deep breath to adjust her state of mind, then turned around and walked towards the market. Jun Changshao felt that he was in the wrong, so he followed behind without saying anything. However, she just arrived at the entrance of the market when she saw a young man in embroidered clothes swagger over under the escort of his servants. He folded his fan in a carefree manner and smiled in a cultured and refined manner. Miss, were you bullied by this fellow? Jun Changshao frowned. He had seen this young man in front of him before. He was the contestant who defeated Sun Mucheng in the Group A finals of the Wu-Tang assessment. His name was Lu Tingyi, and he was the young city lord of Lin Yuan City. Rose of Flowers pretended not to hear and continued to move forward, but she was blocked by the servants. Are you deaf? Didn't you hear the young city lord ask you a question? Lu Tingyi closed his fan and knocked on the head of the servant who spoke. How many times have I told you to be gentle with beautiful women? Do you think my words are nonsense? Yes, yes, yes. The servant hurriedly nodded. Lu Tingyi turned his head, and a gentle expression appeared on his face again. He smiled and said, Miss, if you have been wronged, you can feel free to say it. This young master will make a decision for you. Rose of Flowers smiled and said, I have a small conflict with my husband, so you don't have to worry about it. Husband? Lu Tingyi carefully looked at Jun Changshao and shook his head. A flower stuck in cow dung. In terms of appearance alone, Go Sheng was more handsome than him, but because he had questioned the fairness of the Wu-Tang assessment, in order to avoid trouble, he had changed his appearance in advance and covered his handsome face. Rose of Flowers took a few steps back and put her hand on Jun Changshao's arm. She smiled and said, Husband, let's go. She was using her actions to tell Lu Tingyi that the two of them were husband and wife, and an outsider like him should not interfere. Swish! Jun Changshao shook off Rose of Flowers' hand and said expressionlessly, Who are you calling cow dung? You! Boom! A powerful true energy suddenly erupted at the intersection, and waves of air and dust were rolled up. The martial artists and pedestrians on the street all widened their eyes because the young man who quarreled with his wife was squatting on the ground at this moment. He pressed one hand on the young city lord's face and said in a cold voice, A dandy like you who wins by relying on your identity is not even as good as cow dung in my eyes. Chapter 1361. Jun Changshao made his move. He directly pressed Lu Tingyi to the ground with his domineering strength. This kind of cultivation level that didn't even exchange a few words and directly attacked would make people suspect that there was another side quest. But there wasn't. Jun Changshao beat Lu Tingyi not because of verbal humiliation, but because the other party used his identity as the young city lord to operate behind the scenes. Go Sheng often used cheating to achieve his goals, especially when he encountered big trouble, but in the martial arts arena, he had always been upright and had never used underhanded means. This could be seen from Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others participating in various competitions. They won with their true strength and never used underhanded means. True legends relied on fighting. Lu Tingyi was different. Not only did he bribe the referee, but he also participated in the assessment at the age of 17. Although Wu-Tang didn't explicitly stipulate an age limit, everyone knew that students who participated in the assessment after graduation were usually around 12 or 13 years old. In other words, this young city lord of Lin Yuan City not only cheated, but also bullied the young. Therefore, Jun Changshao couldn't help but directly press him to the ground to vent his anger for his disciple Sun Mucheng. Is that really the case? The system asked. It didn't matter whether it was the case or not. What was important was that Go Sheng was pressed to the ground by the young city lord of Lin Yuan City in front of so many people. That was a serious problem. Something big has happened. City Lord Lu only has this one precious son, and he's afraid that he will melt in his hands. This guy beat him up, he definitely can't leave the city alive. He's got guts. The martial artists who were watching the show didn't mind blowing things up and whispered one after another. Rose of Flowers also realized the identity of this young master from their conversation, so she hurriedly transmitted her voice. "We agreed to keep a low profile, why did you hit him?" Lu Tingyi's servants finally came back to their senses and rushed over with their cultivation, but before they could get close, they were bounced back by a powerful aura. When they fell to the ground in a sorry state, they exclaimed in unison, "Revolving Core Realm." The angry Jun Changshao didn't circulate the hidden cultivation technique. The aura of a first cycle revolving core stage was completely released. If there were no onlookers around when he was showing off, he would definitely fail. Fortunately, there were many passers-by on the street. After learning about Gou Sheng's cultivation level, they all opened their eyes wide and cooperated with him. It was truly unexpected that such a frail young man would possess such a cultivation level. No wonder he dared to publicly abuse Lu Tingyi. However, that was the young master of the city, an absolute public figure. If you beat him up, the result would definitely be you're finished. Boom! Jun Changshao didn't care who the other party was. He stood up and kicked him fiercely. Lu Tingyi's face, which was worth at least 5,000 yuan, really couldn't withstand this kick. Blood spurted out of his body and he felt dizzy. The servants who had been sent flying naturally wouldn't just stand there and watch. The only thing they could do now was, quickly call for help. Shwa! Shwa! A few minutes later, 5 revolving core realm experts flew over from different directions. Although Lin Yuan City was very ordinary in the upper realm, and in terms of status, it couldn't be compared to a Shen sect, it still had revolving core realm cultivators overseeing it. It was just that most of them were at the first transformation realm. "Brat, don't be arrogant." A red-haired old man was the first to arrive at the scene of the incident. When he saw that the young master had been abused beyond recognition, he gathered true energy in his palm. Huff, huff, huff. A strong wind swept across, wreaking havoc in the surroundings. Those passers-by and martial artists with good eyesight had long avoided it. They calmly became qualified spectators and watched the upcoming battle between the revolving core realm experts. They weren't disappointed. When Jun Changshao felt a force pressing down on him, he suddenly turned around and waved his right hand. True energy crazily spread out in the air and rapidly condensed into a solid palm print. On the screen, the 4 words "Heaven Crossing Palm Print" appeared. Not good. The red-haired old man's expression suddenly changed. Boom! The Heaven Crossing Palm Print, which didn't seem to have high effects and power, directly collided with the force pressing down. Not only did it produce a deafening explosion, but it also caused the surrounding houses to tremble slightly. Shwa! Shwa! At this moment, the other 4 revolving core realm experts rushed over from the side. They pretended to attack, but in reality, they were planning to snatch the young master away. Jun Changshao naturally understood their intentions. Without saying a word, he grabbed Lu Tingyi and placed him in front of him like a shield. He shouted, "Come here." Boom! Boom! For cold true energy blasted the surrounding buildings, causing them to collapse on a large scale. Jun Changshao, who was standing in the dust, and Rose of Flowers, who was standing behind him, were safe and sound. After all, with Lu Tingyi as a hostage, the other party wouldn't dare to directly attack. Ta! Ta! The 5 revolving core realm experts of Lin Yuan City all landed. The red-haired old man in the lead said angrily, "Brat, if you don't want to die, quickly release the young master. He dared to take liberties with my woman on the street." "I'm already very merciful for not killing him," Jun Changshao said coldly. Don't be fooled by Lu Tingyi's gentle appearance. From the indescribable look in his eyes when he appeared, Gou Sheng had already guessed what was going on. Of course. Jun Changshao said those words just to find a reason. Rose of Flowers didn't think so much. When she heard the words "my woman," her heart suddenly felt as sweet as honey. He dared to make an enemy of the entire city for me. What else is there for me to be dissatisfied with? Thinking of this, she took a step forward and stuck close to Jun Changxiao's back. She flicked the hair in front of her forehead and said, "Husband, let's fight side by side." The system was speechless. We agreed to keep a low profile together. How did it become causing trouble together? Get out of the way. Jun Changxiao looked at the red-haired old man and said, "I want to fight 5 of you." This sentence was very hot-blooded, but... Brother, can't you put down the hostage Lu Tingyi first? Are you going to raise him in front of you like a shield? Whoosh! Gou Sheng took a big stride forward and brandished his flute. Clearly, he wanted to use it not only as a shield but also as a weapon. In slow motion, one could clearly see that Lu Tingyi's eyes would roll back and faint as he was rapidly spinning. Sometimes, he would wake up and faint again. This cycle repeated over and over again. It felt like he was experiencing a high-altitude ride in an amusement park. Come on. Come here. Whoosh! 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 Jun Changxiao waved the young city lord around crazily, accompanied by intermittent strange cries. He was simply like a lunatic. Because the other party had a hostage, they were afraid of attacking the rat for fear of breaking the vases. Thus, the 5 revolving core realm cultivators could only retreat step by step. Friend! At this moment, a middle-aged man in embroidered clothes who looked to be in his 40s or 50s rushed over with a group of cultivators. Seeing Lu Tingyi being swung around like a rope, he hurriedly said with heartache, "Let's talk things out." "It's the city lord." The passers-by who were watching from afar whispered. Jun Changxiao stopped and then stood in front of the pale Lu Tingyi, who was foaming at the mouth, and said, "You're his father." "Not bad, not bad." City Lord Lu was really worried that his son would be hurt. He hurriedly cupped his hands and said, "If my son has offended you in any way, this Lu will apologize on his behalf." One would not slap a smiling face. Since the other party had already said so, Jun Changxiao would definitely give him face. He said, "My wife and I came to Lin Yuan City this time to do some small business. Your son was tempted by a woman and came forward to take liberties with her. What do you think we should do about this matter?" I didn't," Lu Tingyi happened to wake up and said weakly. Although he was a playboy, he would not take liberties on the street. After all, he was the young city lord. However, since he dared to block the road, he definitely had some ideas. It was just that he did not follow the previous steps and routines. Sigh. Who asked this brother to meet Gou Sheng, who never caused trouble and never kept a high profile? Friend. City Lord Lu cupped his hands and said, "As long as you let my son go, you can do whatever you want." City Lord Lu's deep love for his son is really touching. Jun Changxiao thought for a moment and said, "How about this? I planted some medicinal herbs to sell. Now that I have been delayed by your son, you can buy all of them." "No problem. The price may be a bit expensive." "No problem." In the eyes of City Lord Lu, no matter how expensive it was not as expensive as his precious son. He even did not hesitate to use his power to enter Wu Tang through the back door for his son. "Of course, I will not deliberately blackmail City Lord Lu." Jun Changxiao said, "You can first go to the city's medicinal experts and let them identify the quality of the medicinal herbs, and then give the corresponding price." "Okay, I will send someone to find the experts." Seeing that City Lord Lu listened to him, Jun Changxiao glanced at Lu Tingyi, who was foaming at the mouth, and shook his head. He secretly said, "It's because I spoil my son too much that I raised such a playboy. If I have children in the future, I will definitely, host, please take back your unrealistic and fantastical thoughts." The system interrupted his thoughts in time and sharply ridiculed, "Because your character is the minister of imperial household, unless you adopt." Chapter 1362. City Lord Lu only has one precious son, and he's afraid that he'll melt in his hands. This guy beat him up, so he can forget about leaving the city alive. Jun Changxiao heard from the passers-by that he decided to kidnap Lu Tingyi to make City Lord Lu hesitate. In the end, it was really feasible. Of course, he had beaten him up and his anger had subsided. He wouldn't forget the mission of coming to Lin Yuan City, so he planned to use the hostage to complete a deal with the other party. City Lord Liu was very cooperative and immediately invited a herbalist. Test it. Jun Changshao threw the spatial ring containing the herbs over. He wasn't worried that the other party would snatch it away. After all, his precious son was still in his hands. He also calculated that if he met more people like this in the future, why would he need to rob them? Are you going to change to kidnapping? The system was speechless. After the herbalist was carefully verified, he said seriously, City Lord, although these herbs look ordinary, the energy contained in them is extremely majestic. They can be classified as Xian grade. When he spoke, he was very shocked in his heart. After dealing with herbs all year round, he definitely knew what kind of herbs had what kind of energy. However, he had never seen such ordinary herbs with such great energy. City Lord Liu's mind was not on the herbs, but on his son, so he hurriedly said, hurry up and appraise it. This, after a short moment of thought, the herbalist said, in terms of effect, it's comparable to Xian grade, but it's a common herb after all, so overall, it's about 2 million Xian stones. Only 2 million? Jun Changshao was a little disappointed. The system said, the seeds were bought from Stillwater Town's grocery store for only 200,000, and they were sold for 10 times the price after cultivating them for more than a month. What else is the host not satisfied with? That's true. These herbs were nothing more than the first batch of planting, and there were only tens of thousands of them. The scale of the herb field could be expanded in the future, and the profits brought by the same amount would be huge. I'll give 2.5 million. Seeing the disappointment on Go Sheng's face, City Lord Liu decided to give more. 250 is inauspicious where we are, round it up to 3 million, Jun Changshao said. Okay. City Lord Liu didn't think about it. If he had known earlier, he would have asked for 5 million. Jun Changshao said, this is your territory after all. I'm worried that you'll play tricks, so I'll give you the money first. All right. City Lord Liu hurriedly threw over a few spatial rings. After checking them one by one, he confirmed that there were 3 million genuine profound stones inside. Buzz! Jun Changshao stood Lu Tingyi on the spot, and the flowing light of the formation enveloped him. He said, this is a formation that can explode at any time. Similarly, it will automatically deactivate after an hour. Do you understand what I mean, City Lord Liu? Understood, understood. City Lord Liu said solemnly, you and your wife can leave very safely now. This Liu will definitely not send people to kill you. Goodbye. Jun Changshao took a step back, put his right hand on Rose of Flowers' waist, jumped up, and flew out of Lin Yuan City at the fastest speed. City Lord Liu didn't chase after him. He hurriedly walked to the front of the array formation. When he saw his half-dead son lying on the ground, he felt a sharp pain in his heart. Buzz! An hour later, the array formation automatically dissipated. After confirming that Lu Tingyi was safe, City Lord Liu hugged him in his arms and looked angrily in the direction Jun Changshao left. He said with his eyes about to split open, go and investigate this guy's background immediately. His son was beaten and his money was extorted. He couldn't swallow this anger. Of course, City Lord Liu meant to send people to inquire about it first, and then decide whether to take revenge after confirming the other party's identity. Because if the other party had the power, they could only admit defeat and suffer in silence. Swish! Jun Changshao flew quickly in the sky, and his heart was filled with joy. The seeds that cost 200,000 profound stones increased tenfold in a month. If he wanted to expand the scale and increase the investment, would he still be short of money in the future? Rose of Flowers was also very happy because not only did her husband admit that she was his woman, but he also took the initiative to fly with her in his arms. Happiness came too suddenly. However, when she gradually calmed down, she said, husband offended the city lord of Lin Yuan City just like that. How will you do business in the future? It's not a big problem. Jun Changshao said, "This is a small city after all. As long as the herbs are good, you don't have to worry about selling them anywhere." After being appraised by the herbalists of the upper realm, he already had confidence in the herbs cultivated by the nourishing earth, so his ambition became bigger. He would definitely go to a bigger city to seek business connections. In fact, from the perspective of the mortal world, Lin Yuan City was at most at the level of Qingyang City. If he wanted to make a fortune, he would definitely have to go to a first or second-tier city with experts everywhere. Swish! After flying for a distance, Jun Changshao landed in the mountains and put down rows of flowers. He said, "Walk by yourself." Although he had the ability to fly after entering the revolving core realm, he was limited by the world and realm. His true energy consumption was extremely fast, and he couldn't fly for long. In Lin Yuan City, City Lord Lu sent a large number of martial artists and spies to conduct a large-scale search, vowing to find out the identity of the person who extorted him. However, just as the city was in a state of panic, a middle-aged man wearing a black robe with golden edges walked in from outside. He gently raised his head and muttered to himself, "I feel the aura of a special medicinal herb." This person was dressed very stylishly and had a good temperament. However, before he entered the main street of the city, he was surrounded by soldiers. The reason was his black robe clashed with the one on rows of flowers. "What do you mean?" The middle-aged man frowned slightly. A general walked over and carefully sized up the black robe he was wearing. He said coldly, "Take him away." Because Lu Tingyi was tortured and kidnapped, the city had entered a state of high alert. If someone wearing the same clothes suddenly appeared at this time, they would definitely detain him without asking for the reason. "Wait a minute." The middle-aged man slowly took out an item from his space ring and hung it in front of his chest. He said indifferently, "Look carefully, what is this?" The general narrowed his eyes and saw that it was something like a medal. There were complicated carvings around it, and the words Alchemy Hall were written in gold in the middle. Therefore, the muscles on his face instantly stiffened. Alchemy Hall medal. This was someone from the Alchemy Hall. There were many neutral organizations in the upper realm. The most famous one was the World Hall, because it was an existence that maintained world peace. Other than that, there was also the Wu-Tang, Temple Hall, Array Hall, Alchemy Hall, and so on. As the name implied, the Alchemy Hall was an organization related to medicinal pills. In terms of fame, it was only second to the World Hall. After all, medicinal pills played a vital role in the martial arts world. The middle-aged man hung the Alchemy Hall medal on his chest. Those who were qualified to receive it were all alchemy masters recognized by the Alchemy Hall. "Hurry up and release it." The general hurriedly ordered the soldiers to remove all kinds of weapons. Then, he smiled and said, "So it's a master from the Alchemy Hall. Please forgive me for offending you just now." Master too. His status was extraordinary. The middle-aged man tidied up his clothes and said proudly with his hands behind his back, "Take me to see your city lord." If your city really has good herbs, I will buy them at a price higher than the market price. His surname was Feng. Lu Deshui almost fell off his chair in surprise. "Could your excellency be one of the 8 chief alchemists of the Alchemy Hall, Feng Gui Chen?" He did not know much about the Alchemy Hall, but he had naturally heard of the famous 8 chief alchemists in the upper realm. He especially remembered their surnames, which were Feng Chen, Chu Wei, Jiang Shen, and Han Yang. Among them, the first was Feng Gui Chen. It was said that this person was born with the ability to distinguish the strength of medicinal herbs. He didn't even need to touch them. He could tell just by looking. As for the other 7 chief alchemists, they had extremely high attainments in the Tao of alchemy. Many Taoist and immortal sects fought to hire them as the alchemists of their sections. "Not bad," the black-robed middle-aged man admitted. "So it's Senior Feng. Forgive my rudeness." City Lord Lu hurriedly got up and bowed again. The reverence in his eyes was even stronger than before. One of the 8 chief alchemists of the alchemy hall was definitely a big shot. A small city lord like him could not afford to offend him. "City Lord Lu, let's get down to business," Feng Guichen said. Revealing his true identity was not to show off, but to make him open his heart and not hide the herbs. City Lord Lu's expression was a bit interesting. He knew better than anyone what kind of herbs his family had. If the alchemy hall's chief alchemist insisted on looking at herbs, wouldn't it be bad luck if he angered him? Wait a minute. At this moment, Lu Desui suddenly remembered the tens of thousands of herbs he had spent 3 million to buy to save his son, so he muttered in his heart, "Senior Feng isn't talking about these herbs, right?" Seeing him hesitate, Feng Guichen said with displeasure, "City Lord Lu, are you worried that this Feng will take away the herbs without paying?" "No, no, no." Lu Desui hurriedly said, "This Lu didn't mean that, it's just," he paused for a moment before carefully saying, "My Linyuan city is not a city that mainly deals in herbs, so I'm afraid that the herbs we take out will not be to your liking." He wasn't sure if the herbs he had just bought were the special herbs the other party was talking about, so he made a statement in advance to avoid offending the other party. "It's fine." Feng Guichen said, "This Feng is not an unreasonable person." Lu Desui relaxed and only then did he take out the space ring he had bought from Jun Changshao. He picked out a few herbs and placed them on the table. "Senior Feng, the herbs we sell in the city are all very ordinary. If you insist on mentioning something special, I'm afraid it's only schwa." Before he could finish speaking, several herbs had already flown out. Just the fact that this chief alchemist was able to snatch them from a distance without the slightest fluctuation of true energy made City Lord Lu believe that not only was this chief alchemist's alchemy Dao profound, but his martial Dao cultivation was also extraordinary. Several herbs were placed on Feng Guichen's table, but he didn't touch them. Instead, he stared at them with rapt attention, the expression on his face becoming dull at first before gradually turning into one of ecstasy. The extremely common heavenly emperor grass on the market actually contains such strong world attribute energy, it's incredible. What also shocked him were the jade heaven armor fungus, 9 furnace spirit fish fruit, and other herbs. The energy contained in each of these herbs was dozens of times higher than the most common herbs in the world. If they were to be classified as world treasures, they would definitely belong to the mysterious grade. As the chief alchemist, Feng Guichen must have seen herbs of even higher grades. The reason he was so excited was because ordinary herbs were at the level of world treasures. If they were used in alchemy, they could definitely play an unimaginable role. Seeing the look of ecstasy on his face, Lu Desui couldn't help muttering in his heart, "Is it really that exaggerated?" City Lord Lu, who didn't know anything about alchemy, naturally didn't know how much value Jun Changzhao's medicinal herbs had in refining pills. "It's fine." Feng Guichen understood. He hurriedly asked, "City Lord Lu, how did you grow these herbs?" The heavenly emperor grass and other herbs arranged on the table were all common herbs. Even if they were wild, it was impossible for them to contain so much energy, so there was only one possibility: they were definitely artificially grown using some unknown method. Lu Desui said awkwardly, "I won't hide it from Senior Feng, these herbs were not grown by this Lu, they were bought from someone else." "Who?" Feng Guichen asked anxiously. Someone who could grow ordinary herbs into world treasures was definitely a top grandmaster. The ones who sold these herbs were a young couple. As for their identity, this Lu doesn't know and is still actively investigating, Lu Desui said honestly. "A young couple?" Feng Guichen asked, "Do they have any obvious characteristics?" Since they could grow such world treasures, they might be some kind of hermit who lived in seclusion. If he found them, he would definitely pay them a visit. Lu Desui thought for a moment and said, "The man is about 20 or 30 years old and looks very weak, while the woman is extremely beautiful." "That's right. She looks very similar to Senior's black robe." Feng Guichen memorized these characteristics and asked, "City Lord Lu, how many herbs did you sell?" Lu Desui hurriedly placed several space rings on the table and said, "They are all here, about 40 to 50,000. Feng Guichen released his spiritual sense and entered them one by one. After confirming that the herbs inside were all world treasures, he said in shock, "There are so many of them, could it be that this special planting technique can be mass-produced?" City Lord Lu, how much did you spend? 3 million profound stones. Feng Guichen frowned when he heard this. City Lord Lu howled in his heart, he must be wondering if I'm stupid and have too much money. From a professional point of view, 3 million profound stones for these herbs is a bit cheap, Feng Guichen said. Ah! City Lord Lu was stunned. How about this? Feng Guichen took out several space rings and placed them on the table, saying, "This Feng is willing to buy these herbs for 5 million profound stones, does City Lord Lu agree?" I agree. My name is Lu Desui. My son was abused by a hateful guy who forced me to spend 3 million profound stones to buy a large batch of herbs. I was so angry that I almost vomited blood on the spot, but in the end, I sold them to the chief alchemist of the World Hall and made 2 million profound stones. Little friend. No matter where you are, I will find you. Chapter 1364. Lu Desui once again deployed more people and began a carpet search outside the city, determined to find the young couple. His first purpose was to take revenge, and this time, he wanted to make friends. After all, he made 2 million from the sale, which meant that it was not an ordinary herb. Not to mention. And it was sold by the chief alchemist of the World Hall. Who was this? He was definitely an expert in alchemy. If he took a fancy to it, it meant that the herb had great potential. Because of his son, he made 2 million. If possible, he would beat him up again in exchange for a chance to make friends with his little friend. Lu Desui, who doted on his son in every way, directly collapsed. Of course. Feng Guichen was also looking. At this moment, according to the little information provided by City Lord Lu, he was running at full speed in the mountains, his spiritual sense spreading wildly, looking for the young couple. This brother was different from other chief alchemists. He might have several positions in various sects and always liked to travel the world alone. He was quite a master who hid his achievements and fame, but today he was so ostentatious, it was obvious that he cared a lot about the herb growers. However, Jun Changshao and Rose of Flowers had returned to the sect of all times, and the two were destined to never meet again. In the study, Go Sheng, who had restored his original appearance, invited Elder Wei over and began to discuss the future development of the herb field in detail. 200,000 for 3 million, this was definitely a huge profit. As long as the seeds could be produced in large quantities, it would not be a problem to accumulate wealth in a short time. Fortunately, Jun Changshao did not know that he had made 2 million from selling the herbs to Lu Desui. He would definitely be so angry that he would bang his head against the wall. Patriarch. Elder Wei said, "My medical hall has no problem transforming the surrounding flat land into herb fields, but we need more seeds. I'll take care of it." This time, Jun Changshao decided to go on a long journey. He wanted to go to a bigger city and buy a large amount of seeds. If ordinary seeds could be grown to the Xian level, wouldn't the higher level seeds reach the sky? An opportunity. An opportunity to make a lot of money. Jun Changshao had already decided that the sect would first focus on growing all kinds of medicinal herbs. Once they had accumulated enough funds, they would then try to make a transition, such as selling highly profitable pills. There should be cities in the upper realm that mainly focus on medicinal herbs, right? Taking out the map he bought earlier, Jun Changshao looked at it carefully. Soon, he determined that it was a city called Million Treasures City. According to the annotations on the map, this was the largest intersection center in the southeast region. It sold all kinds of treasures, weapons, and equipment. Lin Yuan City is here, Wanbao City is. Go Xing broke down as he measured on the map with his palm. Aren't they separated by thousands of miles? The everlasting immortal mountain was located in the southeastern region of the upper realm. Because it was located in a remote location, the distance between it and the major cities could be described as being separated by several starfall continents. Jun Changshao had just stepped into the revolving core realm. If he relied on himself to fly, he would easily suffer from kidney deficiency. Therefore, even if he rode a flying sword to Myria Treasure City, it would still take a very long time. To put it simply, there was already a way to develop the Sect's business, but the problem that troubled Gosheng the most was that it was difficult to travel. Sigh. Jun Changshao shook his head. I can only use the ancient warship. In a situation where flying and flying swords could not be used as a means of transportation, he could only rely on this most valuable treasure to travel long distances. Gosheng had not taken it out all this time because there was a brand new heavenly Tao order here. Even if the warship could fly, it would definitely need a higher energy source to drive it. As expected, Jun Changshao summoned the ancient warship and tried to drive it by embedding magnetite in it. Although it could fly, it consumed a lot of energy just to fly out of the Aeon Immortal Mountain from the Sect sky. The system said, from the speed and consumption just now, I have already analyzed that the host needs at least 500,000 magnetite to reach Million Treasures City with this item. Jun Changshao collapsed on the bow of the warship. Forget it, forget it. He put the warship back into the spatial ring and said, I'd better look for medicinal herbs in the nearby cities. Patriarch Li Luochio walked in and said, according to the report of the spies, there are martial practitioners coming out of Lin Yuan City one after another. After coming to the upper realm, Drizzle Hall had also started to operate under the Patriarch's orders. Many professional intelligence personnel had already entered Jingshui Town and Lin Yuan City, but they were limited by the large area and could not cover it accurately. Ha! Jun Changshao smiled coldly and said, this city Lord Lu will not let this matter go as expected. Fortunately, I had the foresight to change my appearance in advance, or else I would have attracted another trouble. If Gosheng, who thought he was smart, knew that because he did not reveal his identity, it was difficult for the head alchemist of the Pill Hall to find him, he would definitely hug a pillar and cry and sing, if I could do it all over again, I would use my true appearance. On a seemingly real and illusory mountain peak. Just as Jun Changshao summoned the ancient warship, the sagely old man sitting cross-legged on a huge rock opened his eyes and said in surprise, why is my warship in the upper realm? No, no. It was clearly buried in the planar battlefield. Even if it was found by a fated person, it should be in the lower realm. Could it be that the person who obtained it has already broken through the void and ascended? The old man calmed down and began to search for the source. Finally, after locking onto the coordinates, he said in surprise, isn't this the sect that was forcibly brought up and placed in Phoenix Perch Immortal Mountain? Just as he was about to continue searching, the aura of the warship suddenly stopped. The old man fell into a brief silence and said, it seems that this old man and this group of little fellows are fated to meet. If I have time, I can go and take a look. Whoosh whoosh. At this time, the space above the mountain peak seemed to be torn apart by some kind of power. Gradually, a black figure formed from the attributes and laws of heaven and earth gathered. A terrifying aura instantly filled the air, causing the entire space to tremble. The old man's white hair fluttered and he frowned, fighting again. Kakik. The black figure laughed strangely, Daoist Tonggu, our strength is about the same. It's too difficult to decide the victor. How about we change the game? So the old man sitting cross-legged on the boulder was actually the creator of the ancient warship, Jinren Tonggu. As the reader, don't you feel enlightened when the answer is revealed? What game? This old man has recently found a disciple with special abilities. I'm doing my best to train him to become stronger. Recruit a disciple and set a time. Please. Jinren Tonggu forcibly interrupted, this kind of game where the disciple leads the master to decide the victor is old and out of date. Can't we change it up a little? The black figure roared, let's just use rock, paper, scissors to decide the victor. Last time, you lost to me 35 times in a row. You still have the face to play. Jinren Tonggu said with disdain. I didn't lose. The black figure said indifferently, "We agreed on 36 out of 71 rounds. You still have 1 round to go." Jinren Tonggu was really speechless. At first, they agreed on 3 rounds, but it ended up being 3 out of 5, 4 out of 7, it went all the way up to 70 rounds. In the end, when he saw that he couldn't win, he left after saying, "We'll fight another day." "I'm serious." Jinren Tonggu sighed, "This old man has never seen someone as shameless as you." The black figure said, "There's always someone better than you. Maybe there really is someone even more shameless in the universe. It's just that you haven't met him yet." Jinren Tonggu couldn't be bothered to continue the conversation. He said impatiently, "Let's do as you said. This old man will find a disciple and set a time to decide the victor." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." "Kakik." The black figure cackled, "Then you're definitely going to lose this time. This disciple of mine is the child of the dimension, the embodiment of providence." Although he couldn't confirm the time, Gosheng believed that as long as the fire dragon woke up, there would definitely be a huge change because they were in the upper realm now. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Jun Changshao was either practicing martial arts or managing the sect every day. Occasionally, he would go to the herb fields to inspect. Although he seemed to be living a fulfilling life, he was actually feeling very depressed. Because he had become a VIP user of the mall, he didn't have enough contribution points, so he couldn't afford to buy anything at all. He could only watch as the remaining 4 uses were replaced. "Why don't you stack last month's refresh rate to next month?" "Sorry, there's no such function." Jun Changshao really wanted to call out the system and beat it up. During this time, Ding Xingwang successfully entered the great perfection of Wusheng, Gong Sun Haohai entered the peak of Wusheng, and Jiangye, Elder Gu, and other higher-ups had also advanced to rank 9 Wusheng. It had only been 2 to 3 months since they came to the upper realm, but everyone had broken through small realms and major realms. Although it was due to the illuminating Heart Sutra, more importantly, it was because the environment was too strong. Huff huff. On this day, in the independent courtyard of Dragon Head Peak, a strong aura of advancement suddenly appeared. Jun Changshao, who had just returned from inspecting the herb fields, was stunned. "That woman is going to enter the void-piercing realm?" "That's right." It was Rose of Flowers who caused such a big commotion. In fact, when she first met Jun Changshao, her realm was already infinitely close to the void-piercing realm. However, that small step was too difficult. In a new world and a new environment, Rose of Flowers focused on cultivation and broke through the shackles in a short time, allowing her martial arts to have a comprehensive sublimation. Huff huff. Attributes that contained higher mysteries gathered in the entire sect of all times, and the disciples benefited a lot from coming into contact with them. The advancement lasted for about an hour. When everything returned to normal, Rose of Flowers walked out of the room, and there was an even stronger aura of a ruler between her brows. As an empress who controlled a plane, there was nothing to be said about her temperament. However, when she saw Jun Changshao outside the courtyard, her noble queen-like demeanor suddenly disappeared, and a smile that only a virtuous wife would have appeared on her face. She said, "Husband, I've broken through." Tsk, Gosheng hurriedly turned around and walked back to his residence. Because it was used to the host's attitude, the system was too lazy to complain. Aside from the black and white Rakshasa, the 2 sixth transformation powerhouses from the upper realm, Rose of Flowers could be considered the second person to enter the void-piercing realm after the Patriarch. Of course. This was just the beginning. According to the current advancement momentum of the sect of all times, as well as the support of stronger heaven and earth attributes and mental cultivation methods, the changes in a year would definitely be earth-shattering. Why was it so sure? Because not long after Rose of Flowers broke through, Yi Xingchen, who had a deeper understanding of the magnificent Illumination Sutra, broke through from rank 7 to rank 8 Wusheng. The frequency and speed were so fast that he could advance by 1 level in about 30 to 40 days. Come. On the training field, Anyo, who had just advanced, said proudly, let's fight. Although Sun Muching really wanted to focus on cultivation, since his senior brother had said so, he could only respectfully obey. Boom! 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 Violent airwaves and heavy sounds rang in the training field. After about 7 to 8 minutes of fighting, Yi Xingqian lay on the ground with a bloody nose and a swollen face. Senior brother Yi. Sun Muching cupped his hands and said, thank you for letting me win. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and the others who were watching the show broke down. Junior brother Yi was definitely one of the strongest in the circle of core disciples. Now that he had advanced to rank 8 Wusheng, he was still defeated by Yi Xingqian. I lost again. Yi Xingqian clenched his fists tightly, but there was no anger, depression, grief, or any other negative emotions in his eyes. He only did not give up and did not give up. Night Emperor was already dead. He, who had come to the upper realm, was now just an ordinary person. I can lose. But I will never admit defeat. Yi Xingqian staggered to his feet and looked at Sun Mucheng, who had left the training field. He shouted, let's go and drink. Plop. In the canteen, Sun Mucheng, who had only taken a small sip of drunken dream, collapsed on the table with a flushed face. This taught them that children should not drink alcohol. Yi Xingqian put down the empty bowl and said without changing his expression, trash. Buzz. After a few more days, with the Sect of All Times as the center, a super-large formation that almost covered the entire Aeon Immortal Mountain was formed. This was the Purple Firmament Constellation Formation. When the second batch of herbs were growing, Jun Changshao finally set it up after some serious research. When he saw how wide the flowing light barrier was, he subconsciously touched his shiny head and said with a smile, with this thing, I feel much more at ease. The system was speechless. You used too much energy to research the fortune-seizing formation, so much so that it left the host with side effects. Chapter 1366. Jun Changshao could not determine what level of bombardment the Purple Cloud constellation array could withstand, but he was sure that in terms of structure and layout, it was stronger than the array system left behind by the Taishan geek. The system said, the Xian sects can't break in. What about 2? It shouldn't be a problem. What about 10? The system was speechless. How many Xian sects does the host plan to provoke? You know that someone as handsome as me is easy to be envied and hated. I'll definitely be mocked when I go to the upper realm, so the array's strength should be able to withstand as many Xian sects as possible. Jun Changshao said seriously. Bah! The system said, if you don't take the initiative to cause trouble, the people of the upper realm will be thankful. Patriarch. Elder Wei came to see him. The herbs have matured. After more than a month, under the nurturing of the nourishing soil, the second batch of 500,000 herbs had fully matured. When Jun Changshao rushed to the herb field and saw the dense qi gathering in the sky, he could not help but sigh, it's too spectacular. Collect. Collect them all. While the members of the medical hall were collecting herbs, Feng Gue Chen was still looking for the young couple in the southeast region. Because he had not rested much, he looked very sloppy. He brushed his dusty hair and roared to the sky, I don't believe that I can't find them. This brother was also a stubborn person. He would not give up until he found the young couple selling herbs. It was strange. Why didn't he come to the timeless immortal mountain? Because according to speculation, the young couple might be hermit experts. They would definitely not be on a mountain with a sect. What's more, even if there was a sect, who would be willing to sell such good herbs, and at such a cheap price? Feng Gue Chen's analysis was reasonable, so he was destined to pass by Jun Changshao again and again, hoping that in his next life, he would look back and smile. Let's go. In front of the entrance of the Sect of All Times, Jun Changshao tidied up his clothes, then walked down the stairs with rows of flowers, towards the city where he bought the seeds. At first, he refused to take this woman out. However, Rose of Flowers had said that now that he had broken through to the void-piercing realm, his strength had improved greatly. If he encountered danger, he could provide a higher combat strength. Although Jun Changshao did not want to cause trouble, he was afraid that trouble would come knocking on his door. Therefore, after much consideration, he decided to bring her along. After all, she was a professional assistant. Who? A cool breeze blew over, blowing Go Xing's jet-black hair. Although studying the great array of fortunes seizing heaven and earth had left him with the root cause of habitual hair loss, the magically modified hair growth potion could very well solve the problem of baldness. This place is so beautiful. Walking in the beautiful mountains, Rose of Flowers often exclaimed in amazement, but she always heard Jun Changshao say indifferently, "We are going to sell medicinal herbs, not to play." Oh. Rose of Flowers pulled down the black robe covering her head and followed him silently. Just like that, they traveled in silence for half a month. The two of them arrived at a city that was larger than Lin Yuan City in terms of scale. However, just after Jun Changshao and Rose of Flowers entered the city, Feng Gui Chen, who seemed to have 2 dark circles under his eyes, also came in. He searched for another half a month, but in the end, he still found nothing. It could be said that he was mentally exhausted and depressed. Forget it, forget it. They came to an inn to stay and said, "Have a good rest tonight, then go back to the alchemy hall and refine the medicinal herbs we bought into pills." He was too tired, so he gave up and stopped searching. In the inn next door, Jun Changshao took Rose of Flowers to eat in the dining hall, secretly thinking about how he should sell medicinal herbs. The next day, Jun Changshao walked into a medicinal herb shop mysteriously, then leaned against the counter, looking outside vigilantly, and whispered, "Shopkeeper, how about making a deal?" He put his left hand in his clothes, and with his standing posture and lowered tone, he gave people the feeling that he was ready to pull out a gun and rob at any time. The shopkeeper said, "What kind of deal?" Although he pretended to be calm, in fact, one of his hands was quietly placed on the button under the table. As long as the other party dared to do anything, he would definitely call the police. Jun Changshao's eyes kept looking around the shop and said, "I have some good quality medicinal herbs here, are you interested in buying?" After a night of consideration, he gave up the idea of peddling along the street. After all, he couldn't afford to lose face, so he could only choose to sell at the door. "Sorry," the shopkeeper said, "the store's inventory is full, and we don't lack medicinal herbs for the time being." This kind of professional medicinal herb shop generally had a stable supply channel, and almost no one would buy medicinal herbs from martial artists, unless the level was very high. Jun Changshao said, "Shopkeeper, my medicinal herbs are not ordinary goods, if you miss this opportunity, you won't have another chance." "I'm really sorry," the shopkeeper said with a smile, "we really don't need this. If you want to sell, you can go to other shops and ask." Shwa! At this moment, Jun Changshao suddenly pulled out his hand. The shopkeeper, who was already vigilant, was about to trigger the alarm, but when he pressed it, he found that the other party didn't take out a weapon, but took out a celestial emperor grass and placed it on the counter. "Shopkeeper, one look and I can tell that you are an old expert, please appraise the quality of this medicinal herb." The shopkeeper's expression became interesting. "Big brother, selling medicinal herbs isn't illegal, is there a need to be so mysterious and look like a robbery?" The shopkeeper was alarmed, but after looking at the celestial emperor grass, he shook his head and said, "Sorry, this is the most common medicinal herb, this small shop doesn't need it. Please appraise it seriously." The shopkeeper thought to himself, "Did I meet an idiot?" But after all, he was a proper businessman. Adhering to the principle that the customer is God, he picked up the celestial emperor grass and released his spiritual energy into it. Then, the expression on his face slowly stiffened, and finally, his eyes completely widened. He had been in the medicinal herb business for many years, and the number of celestial emperor grass he had touched with his hands was no less than a few 100,000. But the one he was holding now, just from its appearance alone, was really rare. The surface was soft, the bottom was like a spring onion, and the branches and leaves were sharp. It was very comfortable to touch, but unfortunately, how is it? Jun Changshao interrupted his thoughts. The shopkeeper came back to his senses and said in a grave tone, "Customer, the energy contained within this celestial emperor grass has already reached the level of a heaven and earth treasure. This humble one has never seen anything like it in his life." This evaluation was quite professional. Jun Changshao asked, "Do you accept it or not?" "Yes. I have 50,000 stocks here, how much do you plan to give?" 50,000 stocks? The shopkeeper's eyes immediately widened again. In his understanding, this celestial emperor grass might have mutated due to the environment and other factors, so its attributes were stronger than common ones. But the other party actually had 50,000 stocks, the number of mutations was too much. After thinking for a while, the shopkeeper said, "If customer really has 50,000 stocks of celestial emperor grass of the same quality, this small shop is willing to buy it for 2 million magnetite." Linyuan City's herbalists also estimated this price, so the other party could be said to be more sincere. At least, he didn't give less just because of Goshing's unfamiliarity. "Okay." Jun Changshao said, "Then 2 million it is." He didn't ask for 3 million because City Lord Liu was worried about his son's safety, so he gave him an extra million. Swoosh! A spatial ring was thrown over, and there were exactly 50,000 stalks of celestial emperor grass inside. After the shopkeeper verified all of them and was about to complete the transaction, he saw a hand suddenly press on the ring and say in a loud voice, "I'll buy these herbs for 5 million. Jun Changshao turned his head in astonishment, only to discover that a travel-worn middle-aged man in a black robe had appeared in front of the counter at some point in time. His entire body was emitting a vigorous and majestic aura. After thinking for 0.01 seconds, Go Xing made a decision in his heart. "I'm definitely going to be friends with this guy." The reason was that the herbalists gave 2 million while he gave 5 million. Therefore, Jun Changshao took back the spatial ring that contained the medicinal ingredients and said rather helplessly, "Shopkeeper, I also hope to make a deal with you, but the price they offered is a little too high. If you really want it, why don't you?" There were some things that didn't need to be said too thoroughly, because that would be meaningless. The shopkeeper didn't go on his way. He kept a straight face as he looked at the black-robed middle-aged man who had appeared out of nowhere. He said coldly, "Friend, my Lin's medicinal herb shop has been operating in the upper realm for thousands of years. I've never seen anyone trying to steal my business." "All right then." Jun Changshao understood. This guy didn't want to raise the price anymore and even moved out of the store. Isn't business about selling to whoever offers more money? What? Are you going to force me to sell? Feng Guichen said indifferently. Logically speaking, he was at a disadvantage. After all, this was the Lin's medicinal herb shop. It was a little against the rules to suddenly cut him off with a high price. However, in a world where martial arts were respected, who would talk reason with you? Not to mention, Feng Guichen was also the chief alchemist of the alchemy hall. "Dear customer." The shopkeeper placed a spatial ring that contained magnetite on the counter and said, "There are 2 million magnetite inside. Please complete the transaction according to the previous agreement." Jun Changshao helplessly spread his hands and said, "I'm really sorry, but I don't plan to sell it. One was 2 million, the other was 7 million. As long as his head wasn't kicked by a donkey, he would know who to sell it to." "Did you hear that?" Feng Guichen said, "He doesn't want to do business with you. He wants to do business with me." The shopkeeper's eyes gradually turned cold. Then, he raised his hand and clapped a few times. Suddenly, 2 revolving core realm experts appeared in front of the door. Jun Changshao was on the verge of collapse. As expected, someone as low-key as him was afraid of trouble coming to his door. The shopkeeper said coldly, "Dear customer, doing business requires credibility. I hope you can abide by it." Saying so, he looked at Feng Guichen and said, "I'm afraid you're here to cause trouble." Cause trouble? The chief alchemist of the alchemy hall rubbed his nose and said with a smile, if you insist on thinking so, then I won't explain. You dare to behave atrociously in my Lin's medicinal herb shop? You are truly audacious. After saying this, he shot a glance at the revolving core realm experts at the door. Shwa! Shwa! A powerful wave of qi swept over. They didn't target Jun Changshao. After all, he was the seller. Their target was Feng Gue Chen, who had come to cause trouble. However, just as the gathered power was about to attack, it suddenly came to a sudden stop. It was because the other party had raised his hand and revealed a strange metal. The two words, Alchemy Hall, were carved on it, and it was especially eye-catching and heart-wrenching. Alchemy. Alchemy Hall Grandmaster. The two revolving core realm masters' voices trembled as the aura they had gathered around them dissipated. Paw! Feng Guichen placed the metal on the counter before straightening his black robe and saying, inform Lin Zetian that I will take the people from the alchemy hall to the Lin family's headquarters to carefully and seriously check if the herbs sold are up to standard. Put on. The shopkeeper collapsed to the ground, his eyes filled with shock. The alchemy hall badge represented the identity of an absolute grandmaster. This was not something that could be faked, and since he called himself Feng Guichen, wasn't he one of the 8 chief alchemists of the alchemy hall? Jun Changshao, who was standing to the side, was also a little dumbfounded. Just revealing a badge had shocked the shopkeeper and the 2 revolving core realm masters on the spot. This guy's identity was definitely not simple. He was rich and had status. This was definitely a thick thigh that was even thicker than the Taishan elders. Little brother. Feng Guichen said, let's go. Yes, elder brother. Watching the 2 leave, the shopkeeper remained paralyzed on the ground as he howled in his heart, it's over, inside the inn. Jun Changshao pushed the spatial ring containing 2 million profound stones over and said seriously, old brother, it's a shame that we didn't meet sooner. We hit it off right away, so I won't take these profound stones no matter what. Little brother is a picky person. Feng Guichen took the profound stones and cupped his hands, this Feng will not refuse. Holy shit. He really wants them. Jun Changshao almost slapped himself in the face with his slippers. Feng Guichen returned to the topic at hand, little brother, did you grow these herbs that have reached the level of heaven and earth treasures? This. Jun Changshao hesitated. Although the other party was rich and had status, one had to be cautious when roaming the world. Feng Guichen said, little brother, if you have any difficulties, just pretend this Feng never asked. Elder brother, I won't hide it from you. Jun Changshao's expression suddenly turned serious, these herbs were actually grown by my honored master. He lives in seclusion and does not care about the world, so I am the one who sells them. Chapter 1368. Honored Master. Feng Guichen did not show too much surprise. In his opinion, someone who could grow common herbs into treasures should be a hermit who did not care about the mortal world. Little brother, can you tell me your honored master's name? This, Jun Changshao said hesitantly, my honored master has a strange temper and has never told anyone his name. He only knows that whenever a visitor comes, he will call him Sage. Sage? Feng Guichen's eyes widened. Anyone who dared to use this name in the upper realm was definitely a big shot. For example, Gu Hongjinren, or Jinren Tonggu, these were all top masters above the realm hall. Little brother. Does your honored master have any hobbies? Feng Guichen was now eager to know what kind of person this sage was from the upper realm. This, Jun Changshao scratched his head and said, other than growing herbs when he has nothing to do, he seems to like researching flying warships. Feng Guichen's brain worked quickly, and then he matched the information with the sage he knew and instantly thought of something, blurting out, Jinren Tonggu. Jun Changshao's face was expressionless as he thought to himself, he guessed it himself, I didn't say it. The system was speechless, can the host be any more obvious? That's not right. Feng Guichen held his chin and muttered to himself, I've never heard of Jinren Tonggu researching herbs. Jun Changshao said seriously, my honored master has always been low-key. As he spoke, he took out the pocket-sized warship with the word ancient engraved on it and played with it in his hand. This was the ancient warship. There was a rumor in the upper realm that whoever inherited this warship would be the direct disciple of the ancient warship. Feng Guichen immediately dispelled the doubts in his heart and gave a I understand look, then said with deep respect, Jinren Tonggu is one of the top masters in the upper realm. Little brother must be extraordinary to be able to become his disciple. It's all right. Jun Changshao scratched his head and said helplessly, Master calls me stupid every day. I only barely managed to enter the revolving core realm after cultivating for several decades. Listen, are you talking like a human? Feng Guichen's expression became complicated. Thinking about how he had taken several hundred years to enter the revolving core realm, compared to the other party who had taken several decades, this was simply trash. AI. Jun Changshao sighed again and said, Shizhuan likes to travel the world. Before he left, he gave me the position of patriarch and ordered me to strengthen the sect in a short time. Feng Guichen was stunned. Jinren Tonggu established a sect? Why haven't I heard of it? Master has always kept a low profile. Understood. Feng Guichen cupped his fists and said, It turns out that little brother is also a sect master, please forgive my disrespect. Ha! Jun Changshao smiled bitterly and said, Although I'm a patriarch, I'm in charge of a mediocre sect. I have no status in the upper realm at all. Anyone can come and trample on me. You're too modest. Feng Guichen said, With your identity as Jinren Tonggu's direct disciple, even those old fogies of the realm hall will have to call you little brother. The hell? Jinren Tonggu was so powerful? Little brother, Feng Guichen asked, what is your sect called? It was not hard to see from his eyes and words that he was trying to get close to him. The strongest sect of all time. The corner of Feng Guichen's mouth twitched slightly as he thought to himself, this name is a bit, as expected of Jinren Tonggu, even the sect he established is so domineering. Brother, do you have time to visit my sect? Of course. Under Jun Changshao's persuasion, Feng Guichen developed a strong interest in the sect established by Jinren Tonggu, so he followed him to the immemorial Immortal Mountain, the road of no return. On the way, he looked at the woman in a black robe similar to his and praised, Little brother and your wife are truly a match made in heaven. Rows of Flowers smiled politely, feeling very happy inside. Although Jun Changshao was very depressed, he did not explain. If it was a misunderstanding, then so be it. He was used to it anyway. Immemorial Immortal Mountain. Arriving at the Immemorial Immortal Mountain, Feng Guichen looked at the words carved on the mountain peak and asked in confusion, it used to be called Phoenix Perch Immortal Mountain, right? When did it change its name? Wait. Wasn't the heavenly vision and the mountain flying out of the whirlpool that everyone was talking about recently? Could it be, Feng Guichen said in surprise, little brother, could it be that your sect was created by breaking through the 10,000 Tribulation Heavenly Thunder Array? Jun Changshao nodded. Feng Guichen gave him a thumbs up, as expected of Jinren Tonggu's disciple, the things you do are admirable. You flatter me, brother. Walking to the stairs of the sect, Jun Changshao stretched out his hand and said, please. Please. Under the personal guidance of Go Sheng, Feng Guichen walked to the entrance and successfully entered the sect of all times, which was protected by the purple cloud star form array. During the whole process, he did not notice the existence of the array at all, because it was hidden too well. Because the entire mountain was brought up, the sect of all times, which had been remodeled by Li Qingyang several times, was perfectly preserved. Especially with the rich heaven and earth attribute, it really gave off a majestic feeling. Not bad, not bad. Feng Guichen praised, little brother's sect is very grand. Unfortunately, its overall strength is too weak, Jun Changshao said helplessly. Feng Guichen said, little brother, there is no need to be depressed. After all, you just ascended. As long as you work hard, you will become a top sect in the upper world sooner or later. This was not a deliberate compliment, because in his opinion, with Jinren Tonggu as a backer, there was definitely great potential. Ga. Suddenly, Feng Guichen stopped. His eyes locked onto the low-lying area shrouded in dense qi at the foot of the mountain and said in surprise, "Little brother, is this the medicine field used to grow herbs?" "Yes." Jun Changshao nodded. "Incredible, incredible." Feng Guichen said in shock, "Little brother, the heaven and earth attribute gathered in this medicine field is something this Feng has never seen before." Jun Changshao smiled, "Old brother seems to have a deep understanding of herbs." "No, no." Feng Guichen said, "I know a little. I heard the shopkeeper say that old brother is from the alchemy hall." "And what kind of organization is that?" "Simply put, it's an organization related to pills and herbs." "Old brother knows alchemy?" When it came to herbs, Feng Guichen was more or less afraid. After all, the honored master of the person in front of him could grow the powerful heavenly extreme emperor grass, which was something he could not compare to. However, when it came to pills, he was confident, so he held his head high and said, "I know a little." He knew a little twice, but because of his tone, they had completely different meanings. "Ha!" Jun Changshao sighed, "My sect of all times lacks an alchemist like old brother who knows a little." "Here's the main point," the system said. Feng Guichen also heard this and muttered in his heart, "This guy isn't trying to recruit me, is he?" Hoo. While he was thinking, an indescribable special aura suddenly rushed over from the distance, startling him and Jun Changshao to look up. Suddenly, the invisible sect protection formation trembled slightly and rippled slightly. Then, it seemed to have lost its effect. A white-haired old man with an immortal aura hovered above the main hall with an amiable smile on his face. The expression on Jun Changshao's face gradually collapsed. The purple heaven star form array he had painstakingly arranged had not played a defensive role and had been easily broken by someone else. At that moment, Feng Guichen cried out in shock, "Senior Tonggu!" Ga. The expression on Jun Changshao's face stiffened. Afterwards, a fraction of a second later, he yelled out with a voice that was close to howling, "Master!" Feng Guichen thought to himself, "Is Senior Tonggu implying that I should join the sect and assist his disciple? If Senior Tonggu doesn't mind, this junior is willing to join the sect of all times and assist Jun Patriarch," he hurriedly declared. Since the big shot had spoken, how could he not obey? Moreover, it was impossible to encounter such a top expert in the past. Why would this old master mind? Jinren Tonggu said. The meaning behind his words was that he had nothing to do with the sect of all times, so whether or not Feng Guichen joined had nothing to do with him. Not only did Feng Guichen not understand this meaning, he even began to imagine that Senior Tonggu would agree to his joining the sect, so he hurriedly cupped his fists and said, "Senior values me highly, this junior will definitely assist you with all his strength." Master! Jun Changshao was worried that if the two continued talking, their previous bragging would be exposed, so he interrupted, "It's rare for you to come, this disciple will order people to prepare wine and food." "No need." Jinren Tonggu said, "I came here to tell you to cultivate well and fight for your master in 10 years. Fight for your master? Jun Changshao was dumbfounded. "It's like this." Jinren Tonggu explained, "I made a bet with that old man Gu Hong. 10 years later, both sides will send disciples to fight at the immeasurable immortal mountain to determine the winner." Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. At this moment, he finally understood why this mysterious expert had come to the Eternal Sect. It turned out that he was here to give him a mission. "Master, who is the opponent? How strong is he? You will know in 10 years at the immeasurable immortal mountain." It wasn't that Jinren Tonggu didn't want to tell him, but that he didn't know who the so-called child of the plain that old man Gu Hong had recruited was. Understood. Jun Changshao said seriously, this disciple will definitely not disappoint master. As for... He paused, then said, can you give this disciple a few tens of millions of immortal stones first? So that I can cultivate in peace for 10 years? Feng Guichen's mouth twitched. If it was profound stones, it wouldn't be a big deal, but a few tens of millions of the best immortal stones was a huge number. As expected of the disciple of an expert, he dared to ask for so much. Jinren Tonggu was also dumbfounded by Go Sheng's words. He had just established a master-disciple relationship, and he was already asking for a few tens of millions of immortal stones. My disciple's skin is a bit thick. Of course. Jun Changshao grinned and said, it would be even better if you could give this disciple 800 immortal-grade martial arts, equipment, and so on. Jinren Tonggu's expression became interesting. I have to correct my thoughts. He's not a bit thick, he's thick-skinned to begin with. Disciple. Jinren Tonggu said seriously, master leads the way, but cultivation depends on the individual. How strong you can become in 10 years is still up to you. That's true, but... Jun Changshao suddenly stopped talking, because Jinren Tonggu had disappeared from the hall, and a voice came from afar, disciple, master is leaving. Holy shit! You took me, the most handsome disciple in history, as your disciple, and left without even leaving 100 immortal stones? How irresponsible! After Jinren Tonggu left, the aura that seemed to be suppressed by the heavenly Tao in the sect gradually dissipated, and Feng Guichen was finally able to breathe normally again. To be able to stand firm in front of a top powerhouse, I speak for myself, I am proud of myself. He's gone, Senior Tonggu has left, the black and white double killers on Dragon's Pine Peak also let out a long sigh of relief, especially when they thought about how they were lucky enough to meet an expert. It was simply, too fortunate. Unfortunately, they weren't able to speak to him, and they weren't able to let him know that they had been assisting Jun Changshao with all their might since the lower realm. Big black idiot. White Rakshasa said seriously, did you hear what Senior Tonggu said just now? I heard. Black Rakshasa said. What did he say? Resisting the 10,000 tribulation heavenly thunder formation and ascending to the upper realm, this was a sect with a lot of potential. In fact, this was just something Jinren Tonggu said casually, but in the eyes of these two people, it contained a different level of meaning. White Rakshasa said, we will definitely assist the Patriarch with all our might, and we definitely won't disappoint Senior Tonggu. That old man just now, Yi Xingchen, who was standing by the window in the room, still couldn't calm down and said, very strong. Jinren Tonggu's sudden arrival shocked the entire sect, and both the higher-ups and the disciples were deeply shocked. After all, just one look at him gave off an unfathomable feeling. However, the calmest person was still He Wudi. After noticing Jinren Tonggu, he didn't show any emotion, and even had a playful smile on his face. This old man was a bit weak. Chapter 1370. Sigh. He Wudi sighed, his eyes filled with sadness. Back then, in order to pursue a higher realm, he was besieged by many experts and suffered serious injuries. His level was reset to 0, which was quite tragic. It's not bad to start all over again. At least, I can discover the flaws that I didn't discover before. He Wudi consoled himself, and his sadness gradually dissipated. His experience was very similar to Yi Xingchen's. They both went from having something to nothing, but because of their personalities, they had always kept a low profile after joining the sect of all times. Other than his duty of closing and opening the door, He Wudi could be considered one of the few normal disciples in the sect. If one had to find a flaw, it would be that he liked to imagine things, because, moreover, He Wudi thought, this is the sect created by Senior Qishuan. I can become a disciple because of my luck. He couldn't be blamed for imagining things. The main reason was that Jun Changshao was too good at deceiving people, especially with the complete 7 profound sunglow break. This martial art created by the 7 profound sage was divided into 7 fragments and scattered in various universes. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to find them all. Regretfully, Jun Changshao found them, easily bought them. Speaking of the 7 profound sunglow break, he Woody also felt regretful. The 7 fragments were all copies, and he had never seen the original. Back then, when he went to snatch the martial art left by the 7 profound sage, he was besieged by various experts because it contained profound meaning that could lead to the sage realm. I've just entered the peak of Wusheng, and I'm still very far from my previous cultivation. Even if I can see the original, it's difficult to see the profound realm. He Woody sorted out his emotions and focused on cultivation again. Because he was forced to sneak into the lower realm, his level was reset to 0. However, he faced it with the mentality of going with the flow. Yi Xingchen, who remembered his hatred, couldn't be compared to him. In the main hall, Jun Changshao handed over the entry form and said seriously, "Brother Feng, joining the sect of all times is like adding wings to a tiger." Feng Gui Chen's face fell. "I really came here as a guest. How did I end up joining the sect?" "Of course," Jun Changshao said seriously, "I won't treat Brother Feng unfairly. The position of Hall Master of the Medicinal Pill Hall has already been prepared. The sect of all times had its own medical hall, which was usually responsible for medical treatment and herbs, but it had never had a hall related to alchemy. Feng Gui Chen's addition had undoubtedly filled this gap." Sigh. Since he had already promised Senior Tonggu, he definitely couldn't go back on his word. As a result, this chief alchemist from the Alchemy Hall was successfully tricked by Jun Changshao into becoming the Alchemy Hall's Hall Master. For now, with the enhanced Elixir Pavilion and the one-button mechanical refinement, his position as the Hall Master of the Elixir Hall was almost dispensable. But in any case, if a sect did not have an Alchemy Hall, it would be incomplete, so the arrival of Feng Gui Chen was tantamount to injecting the soul of the Alchemy Hall into the sect. Moreover, there was an upgraded version of the smithing pavilion in the system. Wasn't Master Fan the master of the smithing pavilion? Furthermore, ever since he joined the sect, he hadn't been slacking off. He had been studying smithing and had even modified his personal divine weapon. In short, those who joined the sect of all times were all talented people. As the patriarch, Jun Changshao definitely wouldn't let a talented person sit around doing nothing. Even if he couldn't refine elixirs, he would arrange for other work. "Brother Feng, our sect has just started in the upper realm. Firstly, we don't have the money, and secondly, we don't have the materials. So, I'll have to trouble you to study herbs with Elder Wei for now. If you really can't do it, you can switch careers and become an alchemist." The corner of Feng Gui Chen's mouth twitched. "I'm the dignified chief alchemist of the Alchemy Hall, but I have to switch careers and become an alchemist. That's really embarrassing." "Elder Wei," Jun Changshao said, "you can take Hall Master Feng to visit the elixir field." "Yes." Elder Wei stood up and said, "Hall Master Feng, this way please." Although Feng Gui Chen was very depressed, since he had joined the sect, he naturally had to listen to the patriarch. So, he went to the elixir field. When he picked up the nourishing soil and smelled the heaven and earth attribute it contained, he exclaimed, "How fragrant! I get it, I get it. Being able to grow the celestial emperor grass into a heaven and earth treasure must be closely related to the soil here." Hall Master Feng. Elder Wei smiled and said, "I'm new here and don't know much about the upper realms herbs. I hope you can give me some pointers in the future." Hall Master Wei is too polite. Feng Gui Chen said, "To be able to manage such a large elixir field in such an orderly manner, this Feng should be the one asking for pointers." Hall Master Feng. At this time, Jun Changshao sent a message, "Elder Wei is very good at relationships. If you have any emotional troubles, you can ask him." "Is that so?" A trace of surprise flashed across Feng Gui Chen's eyes as he thought, Patriarch was able to marry such a beautiful wife. Could it be that he asked Elder Wei for help? Recruiting a technical talent who understood alchemy and was also the chief alchemist of the alchemy hall, Jun Changshao was very pleased. However, just as he sat down in his study, he began to think about Jinren Tonggu again. 10 years. Fighting on behalf of his master. This kind of plot that usually belongs to disciples actually appeared in a patriarch like me. It seems a bit interesting, Jun Changshao muttered to himself. Aha! At this moment, a yawn came from the room and the eyelids of Huolong, who was lying in its nest, twitched before it slowly opened its eyes. The little guy is awake. Jun Changshao's eyes flashed with excitement, but when he saw Huolong's skin suddenly turn red, he picked it up without saying a word and ran out like a mad dog with its tongue sticking out. Who? Who? As soon as they walked out of the courtyard, a scorching flame suddenly erupted. Every time Huolong woke up from its deep sleep, it would cause such a commotion, so this disciple was not surprised when he discovered it and instead walked out as usual to dry his quilt in the flames. What's going on? Feng Gue Chen, who was discussing emotional issues with Elder Wei, hurriedly walked out of the medical hall and saw the flames on Dragon Head Peak, his eyes filled with surprise. The black and white Rakshasa of Dragon Spine Peak were also surprised. They had never experienced Huolong waking up from its deep sleep, so they were puzzled by the sudden appearance of Huolong. Rose of Flowers was also alarmed. She walked out of the courtyard and saw the rising flames, asking in surprise, "Husband, what's wrong?" "Don't speak," Jun Changshao said. "Oh." Rose of Flowers stood to the side and watched, and when she felt that the flames were becoming purer and purer, the surprise in her heart became stronger and stronger. Who? At this moment, the scorching flames suddenly expanded, and a spiraling shadow gradually condensed from the flames. This is, Feng Gue Chen was surprised, a dragon? In terms of form, it was indeed very similar to a dragon beast. Is it about to evolve into a complete form? Jun Changshao's lips curled into a smile. He had learned from the Purple King that Huolong was the noblest five-clawed dragon of the dragon race, although there was a small accident due to the mutation. Xiao. Affected by the external scorching flames, Xiaohua flew out of Jun Changshao's dantian and then transformed into a cute child, excitedly saying, "Father, what a pure fire attribute." Father? Rose of Flowers felt like she had been struck by lightning and was completely dumbfounded. She used her hands to ravage the spiritual cat and curled her lips. "I'm awake." She and Little Long Long were a pair of quarrelsome lovers. They usually relied on bickering to survive. When Little Long Long fell asleep, they would be very bored, so they could only focus on Du Nan's pet. AI. Little Long Long shrugged and said helplessly, "Evolution is a happy thing, but a jinx came." Jun Changshao frowned and reprimanded, "She's here to show concern for you. How can you speak like that?" "Oh my God. Oh my God." The system said, these words coming out of Go Sheng's mouth, "Why do I feel like I read the wrong book? Who are you calling a jinx?" Xiao Moxian's hands were still squeezing the spiritual cat until her face was distorted. Although her expression was ferocious, her heart was very comfortable. "Sorry, I was wrong. It should be Broom Eagle. Don't you. I've evolved 3 times now. Beating you with 1 finger is enough." Good. Xiao Moxian slammed the spiritual cat to the ground and then ruthlessly kicked it several times before angrily turning around and leaving. "Che!" Little Long Long coldly snorted. Seeing the 2 contract beasts start their daily bickering, Jun Changshao helplessly shook his head. He squatted down and said, "Little guy, do you need to be rescued?" No need. I can still hold on." The spiritual cat lay on the ground and said weakly and happily. Little Long Long, who had successfully evolved 3 times, not only had the strength of the upper void-piercing realm, but its body had also completely transformed into human form. It had completely broken away from its lizard appearance. Dragon race. Feng Guichen firmly said in his heart, it's definitely the dragon race. Unlike him and the black and white Rakshas's crazy imagination, the Purple King, who was sitting in the hall of the Spirit Beast Hall, was flustered. Little Long Long was a five-clawed dragon that he had stolen. Now that it had awakened in the upper realm, if the dragon race discovered it, No! Wouldn't the entire sect be in trouble? No, no! He had to hurry up and alert the Patriarch. The Purple King hurriedly set off for Dragon Head Peak, only to find that Jun Changshao was not in his room. Instead, he was sitting at a stone table in the courtyard next door. He said seriously, do you understand now? I understand. Rose of Flowers suddenly understood. She smiled and said, so husband also has the ability to give birth. Put on. Jun Changshao directly pressed his face against the table, howling in his heart, I explained for so long but you still don't understand what I mean. Hearing the conversation between the two, the Purple King's eyes suddenly widened. He thought to himself, don't humans only give birth to children when women do? The Patriarch can actually give birth to his own children. My God, this is unbelievable. Chapter 1372. Jun Changshao walked out of the courtyard. Strange, why do I have to explain myself? Moreover, why is it that the more I explain, the more misunderstood I get? Sigh. He sighed and returned to his residence. He was surprised to find the Purple King standing outside the door with an interesting expression on his face. He asked, Hall Master Z, why are you standing here? The Purple King hurriedly adjusted his mood and went straight to the point. Patriarch, the little dragon's evolution this time is a little too loud. It's likely to alarm the dragon clan. That's for the best. Jun Changshao said, I've cultivated the five-clawed dragon that represents the imperial power to such an extent. Who knows, they might be so touched that they'll give me all kinds of martial arts resources. He used to think that he could rely on his contracted beast to ascend to the heavens. Now that he was in the upper realm, he might be able to reap some benefits from letting the little dragon acknowledge its ancestors. As he thought about it, Jun Changshao became melancholic. Previously, he did not consider the little dragon's identity because it was useless. After all, his home was in the upper realm, a new world that could not be reached at all. However, now that he was here, he had to face this problem. The fire dragon that represented the imperial power would eventually have to return to inherit the throne. Patriarch. The Purple King said with a serious expression. The little dragon doesn't have any imperial aura now. If the dragon clan finds out, it'll definitely bring about a huge disaster. Although he had never seen the noblest five-clawed dragon, the fire dragon style had definitely gone completely astray since it was hatched. They would definitely be unhappy if he turned their future heir to the throne into something that was neither human nor dragon. It was not a big deal if he destroyed the sect because of a disagreement. He was afraid that he would be buried along with it. Z was not afraid of death. Otherwise, he would not have stolen the dragon egg back then. He was now completely integrated into the sect of all times like Anyo. He already regarded this place as his home, so he did not want any accidents to happen. With worries in his heart, he had more worries. Don't worry. Jun Changshao said, the sect has a sect-protecting formation. The disturbance during the day. At this point, he exclaimed, oh no, the Purple Night Constellation formation has not been activated. Previously, it was still running 24 hours a day. However, after Jinren Tonggu forced his way in, it went into standby mode and never turned on again. It's over, it's over. The Purple King said in despair, the dragon race will definitely notice and send experts to kill us. Our sect of all times will be in danger. Buzz! Jun Changshao hurriedly activated the formation and said, it shouldn't be that bad, right? The Purple King said, I'd rather be careful than be careless. That makes sense. Jun Changshao pondered for a moment and said, in the future, when the formation is fully activated, try not to let little Long Long go out. However, Gosheng did not know that when the little dragon successfully evolved and let out a dragon roar, several dragon beasts that were circling around the mountain peak suddenly opened their eyes from their slumber. Their eyes flashed with excitement. Our emperor is back, our emperor is back. Whoosh whoosh. In the mountains, the dragon beasts woke up from their slumber and then became abnormally excited. A thick and powerful dragon aura instantly filled the surroundings, causing the space to tremble. Whoosh! The old dragon that was circling around the highest mountain peak flew over and transformed into a kind-looking hunchbacked old man. He said, "Hurry up and inform the 4 great dragon kings to stop their infighting and welcome our emperor back as soon as possible." After saying that, he looked at the deepest part of the mountains at the throne made of an unknown ore and said excitedly, "After tens of thousands of years, the Dragon Emperor's throne finally has a new owner." High Priest. A dragon beast transformed into a human and said softly, "The 4 great dragon kings have been fighting for a long time to be the boss. If they know that our emperor is back, I'm afraid they will have some evil thoughts." What? That old man said angrily, "Do they still dare to harm our emperor?" In the words of the human race, one should not have the intention to harm others, but one must be vigilant against others. The dragon martial artist said seriously, "It's better to send a trustworthy subordinate to bring our emperor back. What's more, many sects and great powers are coveting our dragon race's resources. If we go out to look for the dragon emperor with great fanfare, once they find out, I'm afraid it will be detrimental to our emperor." That makes sense. After thinking for a while, the old dragon said, "Call the 2 brothers Ting Fei over and have them go down the mountain to look for the dragon emperor. Remember, you must be careful and not leak the news out." "Yes, sir." In front of a clear pool in the depths of the mountains, 2 dragon beasts were lazily lying on the riverbank, giving people the feeling that they were sunbathing. Suddenly, the sound of a secret technique sounded in their ears, and they immediately turned into 2 imposing humans. These were the Teng Fei brothers that the high priest had mentioned. One was called Long Teng, and the other was called Long Fei. Although their strength was not top-notch in the dragon race, they were very professional in gathering information. Schwa! Long Teng put on a simple and unadorned gold-rimmed attire that represented his family's poverty. Then, he took out a comb and combed his messy golden hair, and said seriously, "Little brother, this is a difficult task." Long Fei squatted by the river, used the water surface as a mirror, patted his delicate face, and said, "We must bring the Dragon Emperor back safely, and not disappoint the expectations of the entire dragon race. Let's go." After finishing his preparations, he walked out of the mountain without recognizing anyone. In the end, he bumped into each other with a bang, and then he covered his head and grimaced in pain. The appearance of the 2 brothers in human form was actually quite heroic and extraordinary, but there was a small accident during the evolution process. Their eyes were not aligned properly, and they were all close to the middle of their noses, causing them to see double. That's right. It was cross-eyed. "Don't block my way. You're the one who's blocking me, okay?" Bam! Bam! The 2 brothers walked along the path of the pool and bumped into each other as they walked out of the mountain. The old dragon stood in the distance and couldn't help but worry, "It feels a little unreliable." In an area where space had shattered and the earth had collapsed, 4 martial warriors wearing different colored clothes were fighting fiercely. Because the scene was stuck in a PowerPoint, there was no need to describe it. Suddenly, the 4 experts stopped at the same time. A strange expression appeared on their faces as they said, "This is my emperor's aura." Ha ha ha. A square-faced, bearded middle-aged man laughed out loud, "The battle between us can be declared over." That's right. The man who looked more sinister sneered, "I'll assist the new emperor. The 3 of you can get lost." "Are you sure you're assisting and not the regent who monopolizes power?" The expert beside him said lightly. Another martial warrior said lightly, "Assisting the new emperor depends on seniority. I'm the most senior among the 4 dragon kings, and I'm also the most qualified. Let's not compare seniority, let's compare military merits. The bearded man said proudly. Obviously, the 4 powerful martial warriors were the Dragon Kings that the High Priest had mentioned before. They had absolute strength in the dragon race, but because the Dragon Emperor did not appear, they all wanted to be the temporary boss and lead the entire dragon race, so they fought for a long time. Judging from the aura just now, my emperor should have just awakened. He might not be strong enough and might not be able to return to Dragon Mountain alone. How about this, whoever finds the Dragon Emperor first and brings him back will assist him. Okay. Agreed. No objections. The 4 Dragon Kings agreed and flew out of this special space that was isolated from the upper realm one after another. Sect of all times, main hall. Jun Changshao paced back and forth in the study room angrily. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and the other disciples stood with their heads lowered, feeling as if they had done something wrong. Smack! After a while, Jun Changshao stopped in front of the study table and slapped it, roaring, "Who spread the rumor that I'm going to give birth?" Him. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, Li Tiantian, and the others instantly pointed at each other. Chapter 1373. It was no longer important who spread the news about having children. What was important was that the whole sect knew about it, and it had already spread like wildfire. In order to stop the rumors, Jun Changshao directly used the Patriarch's greatest power to suppress it completely. Anyone who spread the rumors would be sent to the discipline hall. No one talked about it anymore, but the disciples all admired him in their hearts. The Patriarch was indeed the Patriarch. He even took on all the women's work. Sigh. Jun Changshao sat in the study room, upset. He used the function of the epic mission reward to upgrade the Spirit Beast Hall. Ding! The Spirit Beast Hall has been successfully upgraded to an enhanced version of the Spirit Beast Hall. The Alchemy Pavilion, Smithing Pavilion, and Talisman Pavilion had all been upgraded. From the looks of it, the Alchemy Pavilion and Smithing Pavilion had been greatly improved. But what was the use of this enhanced version of the Spirit Beast Hall? When Jun Changshao clicked on it, he almost jumped out of his chair. The interface of the Spirit Beast Hall had changed a lot. Not only did it retain the previous functions, but there were also a few more small boxes. In each box, there was a beast egg. They had different colors and names: Thunder Caltrip Egg, Ice Phoenix Egg, Spirit Travel Egg, etc. Damn! This is a bit exaggerated. What made Jun Changshao even more shocked was that there was an introduction of the new version of the Spirit Beast Hall at the bottom. Each egg was a rare beast that could be incubated with special materials, and anyone in the sect could be assigned to be the exclusive contracted beast. The Spirit Beast Hall's function in the lower realm was to train skills and refine beast pills. Its presence was not as high as the Alchemy Pavilion and Smithing Pavilion. Now, the new version could actually breed beast eggs and assign them to be the exclusive contracted beast of others. Ha ha ha. Jun Changshao covered his face and laughed. Just from the name of the beast egg, one could tell that it was definitely a very awesome rare beast. He did not lack contracted beasts, but his disciples did. If each of them had one, it would definitely increase their strength. Equipment, treasures, and mounts. In the martial arts world, apart from one's own cultivation, these were the 3 most indispensable things to show off. Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others just happened to lack mounts. Swish! Jun Changshao hurriedly clicked on the Thunder Caltrip Egg, and a detailed introduction popped up. Beast Egg, Thunder Caltrip Egg quality, rare exotic beast condition, requires 10 million magnetite to hatch. Specified, none at the moment. After seeing the conditions, Jun Changshao's heated heart felt as if it had been attacked by ice, and was instantly doused with cold water. It was obvious that hatching this Thunder Caltrip egg didn't require that many complicated procedures. All he needed to do was to prepare 10 million profound stones. Go Sheng looked at the other beast eggs one after another. They were all rare treasures, and all of them required tens of millions of magnetite. That meant don't waste time, just spend money. This is too expensive. A single beast egg would cost 10 million. If each of the sect's 100,000 disciples was given a contracted beast. No, they simply couldn't afford it. Be content. The system said, in any case, it was nurtured with magnetite. If it was nurtured with contribution points, the host would probably vomit blood. Not bad. Jun Changxiao's eyes gradually lit up. Although magnetite was important, he could still think of ways to earn it. Contribution points could only be obtained through missions. For example, he was still stuck at 40,000. He simply didn't have the courage to open the store. No rush. Jun Changxiao calmed down and said, money can be earned slowly. When the time comes, I can casually take out a few 100 million and give each of the core disciples a contracted beast. The Thunder Caltrip egg belongs to the Thunder attribute and is suitable for Qingyang. The Ice Phoenix egg belongs to the Ice attribute and is suitable for Chanshan. The Spirit Traverser egg should be a speed type and is suitable for Xiaomu. Although Goxing didn't have money now, it didn't hinder him from arranging the contracted beasts in advance. Of course, there were still many beast eggs in the enhanced version of the Spirit Beast Hall. Because of the limit of the inventory, it was difficult to display them all, so he wouldn't introduce them one by one. Boom! Boom! In a huge mountain range shrouded in dark clouds, visible thunder and lightning madly bombarded, causing the space to violently tremble and gather a murderous aura. Patriarch. On the cliff where thunder and lightning intersected, an old man with a beard like a thunder snake hurried over and exclaimed, the Thunder Caltrip egg that was nurtured by the Thunder Pool for thousands of years has disappeared for no reason. In a land of ice and snow. A group of extraordinary beauties were conducting a carpet search because not long ago, an Ice Phoenix egg in the clan was stolen. Swoosh! Swoosh! In the vast and boundless grassland, dozens of powerful creatures that looked like tigers and wolves with wings on their backs flew close to the ground. Their huge eyes flashed with monstrous anger. Patriarch's orders. We must catch the culprit who stole the Spirit Traverser egg as soon as possible. It could be said that after Jun Changxiao upgraded the Spirit Beast Hall, many special non-human clans in the upper realm had lost something. At this moment, they were conducting an intensive search. Readers who were familiar with the source of the 7 mysterious sunglow break would definitely understand that the various beast eggs they had stolen must have been stolen by the system. In short, the number of beast eggs in the Spirit Beast Hall was the same as the number of beast eggs in the various clans. This was definitely a huge trap. Fortunately, Jun Changxiao didn't realize it. At this moment, he was happily thinking about how to earn more magnetite in the shortest time possible and then arrange exclusive contracted beasts for the disciples. Of course. Goxing secretly said, it's not realistic to equip all the disciples in the sect. I can only arrange for the upper echelons and core disciples first. When each of them has one, riding all kinds of rare beasts and following this king to conquer the Sea of Stars, the scene will definitely be beautiful. Reader, the scene of you being surrounded by thousands of clans will definitely be even more beautiful. Just thinking about it was better than living a good life. Only by truly working hard could it be realized. Therefore, Jun Changxiao withdrew all the empty thoughts and began to focus on making money. Hall Master Feng is the chief alchemist of the Pill Hall. This organization definitely needs a lot of herbs. I can let him take the lead to establish a long-term and effective business channel. Jun Changxiao set off for the medicine hall, which didn't have a single soldier. There was only one main hall. As soon as he entered, he saw the other party dancing with joy inside. Thus, he asked in surprise, didn't you have enough of the morning exercises? Patriarch. Feng Guichen said excitedly, I used your herbs to refine pills. The effect is more than 10 times stronger than normal pills. Calm down, calm down. Jun Changxiao said, this is normal. Feng Guichen forced himself to calm down, then placed a crystal-clear pill on the table and said, "This is the profound essence nourishing pill. After taking it, you will be able to gather heaven and earth attribute and world principles faster. Normal pills can last for 1 day, but refined with Patriarch's herbs can last for 10 days. Oh. Jun Changshao remained calm. The effect of this profound essence nourishing pill was similar to the lower realms qi gathering pill. Refined with alchemy pavilion, it could increase the effect by dozens or even hundreds of times. Even before ascension, he would not be able to eat more, so his mind was as calm as still water. Moreover, Feng Gue Chen said again, the absorption speed is also 10 times faster than normal pills. Hall Master Feng, control your emotions. You're spitting out saliva. Jun Changshao wiped his face and said helplessly. Shwa. Feng Gue Chen took out several different pills again and said, this is the blood coagulation restoration pill, this is the mysterious meridian protecting pill, one for healing, and one for protecting the meridians. With Patriarch's herbs, the effect has increased by more than 10 times. Jun Changshao took a few steps back because the more the other party spoke, the more he could not control his emotions. His saliva was flying all over the screen. The most important thing is, Feng Gue Chen said seriously, the success rate of refining ordinary pills with ordinary herbs is not particularly high, but with Patriarch's herbs, not only is there no error per batch, it can even produce 10 batches. The system said, it seems that host does not need to buy pill recipes. Hall Master Feng is a walking alchemy cheat. Holy shit. Jun Changshao slapped his forehead and said, that's right, why didn't I think of that? His thoughts were still stuck on the upgraded version of Alchemy Pavilion. As long as he bought pill recipes, he could produce pills in large quantities. He ignored the fact that although Feng Gue Chen could not refine pills in one go, his attainments in this area were very high. Why buy pill recipes? He could just give him the materials to refine them. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. As a result, one could clearly see from the camera outside the hall that Jun Changshao, who had been able to maintain his calm, was dancing with Feng Gue Chen, occasionally making shameless cat noises. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.